It rolls and flows on as a bridge. Easy for me, and it has come down. That's the way I heard it. I wonder if she remembers me at all.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the 2022 Iditarod Events Banquet. I'm John Hanlon. I know a whole bunch of you. For those of you that don't know me, that's me. And I'll be your MC this evening. Tonight, as we celebrate 50 years of a legacy that is poised to reign for another 50. This time, I would ask that you please stand for the invocation that will be offered this evening by Pastor Bertha Kowalik. She's with the Covenant United Methodist Church.
Short girl problems. My name is Pastor Bertha Kowalik, and I come to you from Community United Methodist Church in Nome. It's an honor to be with you tonight. Shall we bow our heads? Father in heaven, we want to thank you first of all for all our blessings that you have given us, our family, our friends, our homes, and especially tonight, our freedom. We want to thank you for all who participated in the Iditarod race, the mushers and their families, the handlers, the veterinarians and their support, Alaska Missions, and lastly, the Iditarod Trail Committee. But most importantly, all our communities that participate with this great race. We ask that you be with each and every one as they return home, and may our precious dogs that raced have time to a well-deserved rest. We want to thank you for all who made tonight possible, and may you bless each hand that prepared this meal. May it nourish each and every one, and bless each as we go from here tonight. In Jesus' name we pray, amen.
Thank you, Pastor Bertha. And at this time, we have our own Jackie Onassis, Jackie Reeder, who is going to offer the national anthem and the Alaska flag song. Our flag that we have is up on the wall over here to that side.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave? Eight stars of gold on a field of blue, Alaska's flag, may it mean to you the blue of the sea, the evening sky, the mountain lakes, and the flowers nearby, the gold of the early Sardo streams, the precious gold of the hills and streams, the brilliant stars in the northern sky, the Bear, the Dipper, and shining high, the great North Star with its steady light, o'er land and sea a beacon bright. Alaska's flag to Alaska's dear, the simple flag of the last frontier.
Thank you very much, Bertha and Jackie. Appreciate your participation this evening. Just as a fun fact, all three of us that you've heard from so far this evening are native Nomites. We were all born here in Nome. I'm not going to ask my good friends there to disclose their ages, but I've seen or been around at least for all of these Iditarods, and they've been around for a substantial number of them. So it's always fun every year to have so many friends and relatives coming back to see us once again, and we're looking forward to this evening being a real treat. As we have folks following us live this evening through the Iditarod wonders of the internet, we're having to speed this up just a little bit because we're way behind schedule. Folks have been watching us mill around here for the last half hour or 45 minutes as we've enjoyed company of our friends and acquaintances, and while the food was being prepared. Food is ready to go, and again, the Lakefront Hotel in Anchorage has prepared a wonderful meal for us. Because we are wanting to not have a whole bunch of dead air for everybody that is watching us elsewhere, we're going to kind of move along with the program at this time, even as you are going to the food lines. That's a little departure from what we've done in the past. Another little departure that we're going to ask you to please cooperate with this evening is, rather than having a stampede to the food lines, just in recognition of the situation and circumstances that we find ourselves in these days, we want to kind of social distance just a little bit. And so we'd ask that basically, we have a table on either side, perhaps, go up, and if you kind of just can look at the line out there, see when that starts to clear, and then get the next group out. I know that we're all anxious and hungry, but if we could do that tonight, that would keep it safe for all of us. So thank you for that. At this time, I'd like to introduce to you the Iditarod's Chief Executive Officer, Rob Urbach.
Thanks, John. So, epic is probably an overused word, but I don't think there's been an Iditarod that was not epic, and the 50th is certainly no exception. There is certainly those of you that were on the trail, whether you're a musher, veterinarian, volunteer, judge, fan. I'm sure at some point along the way, you may have been laughing, may have been in awe of the beauty of your surroundings, but you may have also been suffering out there. There's obviously some challenges in every Iditarod, and there's probably a time to suffer. And now, though, is the time to celebrate. So we are very much looking forward to hearing all the tales from the trail from all 50 finishers tonight. So I know I'm very excited to let every musher who finished, please come up here and let it flow. So we're excited to hear that for not just this crowd, but as Mr. Handelman mentioned, all the fans around the world as we live stream this. So I want to recognize a couple quick people. Our MC tonight is not only the mayor of Nome, but a longtime Iditarod board member, Mr. John Handelman. Thank you very much for what you do. And then another very vital Iditarod board member who's probably somewhere in the back making things happen is Mr. Mike Owens, who was also instrumental in the search and rescue process. So Mike, I know you're out there somewhere. I really appreciate what you do for everybody, for the Iditarod in this community. And, when we, in 2020, when some of us thought we couldn't come to Nome, There was a lot of support from John, city manager Glenn Steckman, and others in the community to enable us to finish in Nome. And last year we had to sort through not being here, so it's an honor and a privilege that we're all assembled here, that we're here back again to celebrate, to the joy and spark, and I think what is the spiritual transformation of what every musher, 824 humans that have now finished the Iditarod. And put it in perspective, there's something like 29,000 athletes that play in the NFL. It's still a pretty small, exclusive number. And I know each of you that have finished, and some of you multiple times, I really am just in awe of what you're able to do. But we couldn't do it without the support from the great city of Nome, and in particular, the Public Works Department that make it happen, put down the snow on Front Street. So I want to give them a round of applause. And we have another distinguished guest, and I'm going to turn this back over to Mr. Handlin, your MC.
Thank you, Rob. Appreciate that. And at this time, we do have a distinguished guest that I'd like to bring forward to say a couple of words to us. Iditarod has been around here for 50 years, and one of the first ones that I remember, this gentleman's wife was in running the headquarters down there. He is an Iditarod veteran and has been an ardent supporter of the race for all 50 years. And with any good luck and God's blessings, he'll be here for another 20 or 30 or 40 or 50 years to do it again. Anyway, Mr. Howard Farley, who all of you know as the Iditarod from Nome. And when the Iditarod ran the first year, some of the things people didn't think about, and Julie, please come up too, that people didn't think about was, gee, we need a finish line. And so they ended up getting a little Kool-Aid out on the street there to make a finish line. A few years later, we get the burled arch that's hanging on the end of this gymnasium that served us for a whole lot of years until it got old and needed to be replaced. And this man's been around before we had the Kool-Aid, and before we had that one, and before we have our current one. And I don't want to waste any more of his time, because Howard can talk all night, although he's graciously agreed that he's going to limit it to about 30 minutes at this time. So please welcome my friend, Nomite Howard Farley.
Folks, I have the honor of being the Iditarod storyteller, and I love telling stories. There's no end to it, folks. It goes on and on and on and on, because when you go home, you talk to somebody, and they talk to somebody, and that's how we'll preserve this race and have it go on forever. We need this race to go another 50 years. My God, 50 years, folks. Do you realize what that is? I mean, this is one of the greatest volunteer efforts in the world. We've got people that volunteer everything. And I'm not one to neglect that either. I've given, in fact, Julia, my wife, is coming up. Her and I gave 20 years, and one day I said, you know, got to go on with life. It doesn't. And I get people that say, well, the Iditarod, it only starts in March. No, folks. It started today at this banquet. We've spread the word that this race has to continue on forever because people like it. And I'd like to introduce my wife, Julie. Her and our 10 children have been with us from the beginning. And we live the Iditarod, and we've enjoyed the Iditarod over the years, and we're looking forward to many, many more years. We won't be here, but we'll sure want you folks to go out and say the word. I did. Speak with me, folks. Come on. Iditarod. And that's for Hobo Jim, because he was one of our greatest. And folks, I look around and I see a few people our age, but I see a lot of young people. This race is fantastic. And you know what we've done over 50 years? We've managed to convince people that they can go 1,000 miles. And those people have convinced their dogs that you can go 1,000 miles. And we have the best of dog care. We have the best of food. We have the best of everything in this race. This race makes dogs look great. And we all knew that anyway, because we said, let's go 1,000 miles. And folks, another 50 years. And I want a special thing to go out to our people that have prepared this food. Now, I've been around kitchens all my life, and I walked into where they're preparing this food. My God, it looks like the best of high-class restaurants around the world. You are going to have a banquet. We made up our mind early on, no rubber chicken. And one of our mayors said one day, folks, as we came in, and I came in almost last, and he said, you know, everybody that finished this race is a hero. And they are. The only way you get your check is to come up here. So, folks, let's have a nice evening and greet these mushers. They sure earned it.
Okay.
Hey, John, can we eat? Hold on. Was that a yes or a no?
Somebody's hungry? So, you know, I think it's the spirit and the soul of the Farleys that will ensure, and with help from everybody here and for those watching our live stream, that there will be an Iditarod in 50 years in 2072. So that's certainly what we're striving for, and we continue to be bold and continue to force our way forward. I would like to, you know, in spirit of that, I think it's now is a really appropriate time. You know, many of the volunteers it's part of their life, their community. They come back, they travel from around the world to spend a couple weeks and take vacation time to come here to volunteer. And we certainly couldn't do this race without our army of 1,500 volunteers. So I want to give a hand to all the volunteers. I also want to do a quick shout out. You know, this race has been led by Mark Nordman and his team for a very long time. Mark, if you're aware of this, is a finisher as well. And I've been quoting Mark a lot over the last couple of weeks and saying this is the most important race since our first race. And he's right. We faced a number of challenges this year. So I want to thank Mark, Stu Nelson, Joe Meyer, and the rest of the team on the staff that had really worked super hard every year to get everyone in here safely. And the mushers, and when I think about what it takes to get here, you know, I come from the endurance sports world, and I've had this conversation, and some of our mushers are just, you know, some of our triathletes, or they might run a marathon. But I'd like to say that if you think about an Ironman triathlon, where it's a long day, it's 2.4 ocean miles, 112 on a bike, and a 26-mile marathon, but it's also kind of a rolling buffet. And at the end of that event, every athlete gets a massage, a nice hot shower, 12 hours of sleep. And compare that to the Iditarod, there's really no comparison. So I think our mushers are the toughest, most tenacious adventure athletes in the world. I'm in awe of what you do. I can't imagine not just taking care of yourself as a part Magellan, full adventurer, part sleep deprivation ninja, but at the same time, your heart and soul is focused on your 14 dogs. And I've heard you describe that you're watching every dog, watching the gait, really conscious. It's very strategic. So able to do that while navigate the 1,000 miles in a self-reliance and through the Alaska, rural Alaska, is something that is just extraordinary. So I'm very much humbled to be here, and I really can't wait to hear from each of you. So there's 22 partners from our sponsorship family that make the Iditarod happen. And if you'll see behind me, there are some new banners this year. We actually have 7 new partners this year, led by our new principal partner, Hillcorp and Harvest Midstream, Linden family of companies, Greenbrook, Nutanix, ANR Industries, the Marines, and Lindblad Expedition. Now, please, if you support the Iditarod, when you have a choice of using our partners' products and services, please do so, whether it's GCI, Northern Bank, BBNC, RyanAir, AAT, NAC, Linden. So we couldn't do this race without the financial support of our 22 partners. So I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart, and I'll ask all of the Iditarod Nation to please tell your friends and family to use their products and services. Thank you. We're going to have the super excited for the NAC 4x4 giveaway. We're going to hear from a lot of those sponsors here tonight. And now, from our newest principal partner, please give a hand. I'd like to bring up, as a representative from Hillcorp and Harvest Midstream, Mr. Bo York to the stage.
Hello, everyone. My name is Bo York. I'm a operations manager for Hillcorp up at Prudhoe Bay here in Alaska. And first off, I just want to say congratulations to all the mushers, your teams, your support team, the family members, and all the volunteers that made this happen. Truly an outstanding event, something that I'm sure all of you are very proud of. At Hillcorp, we're proud to sponsor this event. I have a coworker on the slope, Josh McNeil, who is a musher. Many of you know him. That's great. He's a wonderful individual, fantastic young man from Fairbanks. And although he didn't finish this year, I'm sure he's going to be back next year to race again. And next year, we're going to be proud to support him and support the Iditarod again in 2023. So congratulations, everybody. Enjoy your evening, and thank you.
Again, thanks to Hillcorp and Harvest and Donlin Gold and GCI from their principal partnership. It's really absolutely essential that we continue to deliver value for all of our partners. We'll hear shortly from also a new partner this year. We're going to hear from later, Mr. Mike Morris from Linden Family of Companies will be presenting an award here shortly. But I'm now going to turn it back to our MC. Thank you.
This time, we'd like to recognize a very special athlete. This year's junior Iditarod champion is Emily Robinson. Not sure if Emily was able to be with us tonight. If she is, we'd love to have her come forward. She's the only 14-year-old and hails from Nenana. Not only the winner, but she is also the race's Rookie of the Year. The thing that makes this year's finish even more impressive is that she finished only 6 seconds ahead of the second place finisher, Hannah Warpert. How about a big live stream round of applause for Emily all the way from Nome? Each principal partner and lead dog partner of the Iditarod has the opportunity to create and present, in conjunction with the ITC, a special award. Tonight you will hear from them as they make presentations to the various winners. In some cases, these awards were presented along the trail and will be represented here. In others, we will learn the recipients of these coveted awards for the first time this evening. Our first special award is to be represented as the Alaska Air Transit Spirit of Iditarod Award, which was awarded to the first musher to arrive in McGrath. And here to represent that award is Mark Nordman on behalf of Alaska Air Transit.
Thank you, John. I want to go ahead and tell you a little story about Alaska Air Transit. They serve the Upper Kuskokwim very professionally. They're really a huge part of what I do with Iditarod, and even in some stuff in the off-season. They service McGrath, Nikolai, and Takatna for us during the race. This year, we had Loretta Malel made these beautiful beaver mitts for the first team into McGrath, beat it on both sides. I think I'm going to bring Aaron Burmeister up here right now to accept these, and I'll explain a few of the other ones that he's getting also. Aaron Burmeister, please. The other thing that was made locally was by Lucy Miller. This is a beautiful hat here that Aaron's going to be provided with. And then the last one is actually something that was made by Andrew Runkle. Andrew Runkle's family has supported Iditarod since day one. This is actually also on behalf of Alaska Air Transit for the first team into Nikolai, so he kind of loaded up here this year. Thank you,
Aaron. There we go. Mark, thank you very much. Alaska Air Transit, thank you very much for sponsoring the awards, and 2 pairs of mittens that will certainly keep me warm on the trail. No, it's really an honor. Thank you very much.
The next award to be represented is the GCI Dorothy G. Page Halfway Award. This was first presented to the first musher to arrive at the Iditarod checkpoint. Here to represent this award this evening, please welcome GCI's Bob James.
Thanks, John. And as most of you know, my name, most of you probably didn't know my last name. You just called me GCI Bob. So, thank you. You know, first off, Iditarod family, thank you for allowing GCI to crash your family gathering here. It's an honor, and I've been lucky enough to do this for 9 years. And GCI continues to bridge the digital divide between in rural Alaska and the lower 48. It's amazing how now, over the last 9 years, we've actually been able to bring some of the remotest sites in Alaska into the homes of thousands and thousands of people worldwide. Places like Ophir and names like Butcher, Galena, and Boozer. You know, Rainy Pass and Reddington. Now these people know those names, and we've been honored to do that with the partnership with the Iditarod family. Thank you very much for allowing us to be here with you. This musher, it's funny because I've met him the last 4 years at either Iditarod or QRILL, and he epitomizes the definition of musher. His lifestyle is that of the fabric of Alaska. And as much as GCI is part of that lifestyle and fabric of Alaska, Brent Sass is that kind of a musher. And I would like Brent to come on up here. He actually took the gold from me out in out in QRILL this year. Brent, it has been an honor to see you out at that location 4 years in a row.
Yeah. Well,
appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. Wow. Well, big thanks to GCI and Bob, and it's always awesome to see him out there, and everybody knows he's making it happen, and really GCI is making us get out to all you guys during the race, and I think that's one of the most important parts is that you guys all get to watch this race out there. So huge shout out to GCI, and hopefully we can continue this down the road.
The next award to be represented is the Lakefront Anchorage First Musher to the Yukon Award. This special award is presented to the first musher to arrive in Anvik. Here with us today is the Lakefront Alaska General Manager, John Bruce. And while John is probably back there somewhere making sure that the food is running lickety-split out to these tables, I stand corrected. It's not Anvik, but it's actually Ruby, the first musher to arrive in Ruby.
Yeah, so we're awarding the first musher to the Yukon Award. We're here at the Lakefront. Happy to award this to Brent Sass for first musher to the Yukon.
Just another big shout out to the Lakefront, and sorry I had to bypass the meal there at Ruby, but I think Billy Honey, my friend there, the checkpoint manager, got to eat it, so it went to a good place.
The next special award to be represented is the Bristol Bay Native Corporation Fish First Award. This award was first presented to the first musher to arrive in Caltag. Presenting on behalf of BBNC is Iditarod Race Director Mark Nordman.
Thanks again, John. BBNC has presented this award for the last couple of years. What's really been fun for me and my volunteers is to see the representative that they send out to come and work the checkpoint, not just going ahead and presenting the award. Carol Wren was out there. It was pretty tough to go ahead and get the actual her flight arrangements together, but she was a trooper. She worked hard with all of our volunteers. I think she had a really good time. So on behalf of BBNC, First Fish Award goes to, once again, Brent Sass.
Amazing artwork here. I got to see this when I landed in Caltag, and again, it's great that Bristol Bay is supporting the race. Appreciate it very much.
The next special award to be represented is the RyanAir Gold Coast Award. This award is given to the first musher to arrive in Unalakleet. Here with us from RyanAir is Justin Polis, Ryan's Air Station Manager here in Nome. Justin?
Hi. I'm short. Hi, I'm Justin Polis, Station Manager for RyanAir here in Nome. Congratulations to all the finishers, and thank you to all the volunteers and everyone who makes this happen. Since 1953, RyanAir has been moving people and goods around the bush up and down the coast of Alaska. Before that, our founder's dad, Wilfred Ryan Sr., started moving mail and people by dog sled between Unalakleet and Caltag and in this region of Alaska. Part of a long line of Alaskan Native mushers, and who connected the community and the surrounding rural out villages. At RyanAir, we see the Iditarod as a symbolic continuation of this important history. We have chosen to recognize the first musher to Unalakleet with 1 ounce of gold, valued at over $2,000, and a backpack full of company merchandise and other goodies. On behalf of the RyanAir company and the Ryan family, I'd like to present this award, or the gold, to Brent Sass, first one to Unalakleet, 2022.
All right, sweet. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Oh, we should do a picture. Yeah. I think they've heard from me enough. Yeah. Huge thanks to RyanAir for supporting the race. We need all of your logistical help out there for sure.
And the last trail award to be represented is the North Rim Bank Achieve More Award. This inaugural award was presented to the first musher to reach White Mountain. This is North Rim Bank's first year as a lead dog partner for the Iditarod, and we are so excited to have them continue their partnership into the future. Here with us today to represent and present the award on behalf of North Rim Bank, this is Tammy Kosa. She is the Interior Regional Market Manager.
Well, good evening, and as John mentioned, my name is Tammy Kosa, and I am the Interior Regional Market Manager for North Rim Bank. We're so proud to be continuing our sponsorship with the Iditarod this year. The tradition and the spirit of the Iditarod align with many of the reasons that we at North Rim Bank are proud to be Alaskan. And as someone from the interior, I hail from Fairbanks, it was especially exciting to see Brent take the lead early on and make a strong push to Nome to win his first Iditarod. Over the past 5 years, our relationship with the community of Nome has grown, and we're excited to announce tonight the opening of our new loan production office right on Front Street. The office will be the office will be staffed by local lender, many of you know, Drew McCann, and will provide lending-related services such as loan information and applications. And as a community bank, we are proud to expand our statewide coverage to include the Bering Straits region and respond to the demand for services in this area. When our sponsorship started, we were lucky to be able to visit White Mountain to present the award in person. We were touched by the warmth and the welcoming nature of the residents of White Mountain. And we certainly hope to be back there in the future to share the Achieve More Award with the members of that community. In honor of Brent's award, we will be making a donation to that community. And we are proud tonight to present Brent Sass with the 5th annual Northern Bank Achieve More Award. He was the first musher into White Mountain, went on to win his first Iditarod. So from one proud Alaskan to another, Brent, come on up. It was our honor to give you a check for $2,500.
That's good. Well, thank you. Interior, right?
Yeah,
that's what
that's
it's all
right.
about. Yep, no problem. Just a big shout out to Northrum, and it's awesome, this scholarship in White Mountain. The people of White Mountain definitely rally for the race, and I'm looking forward to getting back there next year.
And to our friends out there in White Mountain that are probably watching us on the live stream, we want to thank you for everything that you did this year and every year for the Iditarod. Thanks again to Northrim Bank for stepping up this year and making this inaugural presentation. The next 3 awards are simply mathematical computations. That being said, these awards are significant, highly regarded, and coveted by all. The next award is the Rookie of the Year Award. This award recognizes the rookie musher who is the highest finishing place in their first Iditarod. Iditarod race director Mark Nordman will come up here again, please, Mark, to present that award.
Thank you, John. Okay, this is an exciting time for me. We've got our Rookie of the Year coming up here shortly. I've known this young lady since she was about this high. I would like to please have the daughter of Don and Trina Lyric, Hannah Lyric, come up and accept her award for the Rookie of the Year. Finishing in 17th place, 10 days, 2 hours, 43 minutes, and 12 seconds. Congratulations, Hannah.
Just want to thank everyone for making this race an amazing experience, and it's really a dream come true, and I can't wait to come back, so thank you all.
Now I'd like to welcome a representative from the Nome Kennel Club. They will be here to announce the first of the Nome Kennel Club Fastest Time from Safety to Nome Award.
Good evening. My name is Stephanie Johnson. I'm the current president of the Nome Kennel Club. I'd like to welcome... Sorry. Good evening. My name is Stephanie Johnson, and I'm the current president of the Nome Kennel Club. And we'd like to welcome everyone here to Nome. We appreciate all the teamwork that's made this race possible. Each year we present the fastest time from Safety to Nome. And this year we would like to present this award to your Olsum. In 2 hours and 26 minutes. The award is $500, so we congratulate your.
Thank you.
Good job.
Awesome. Another picture. Thank you to the Nome Kennel Club. This is a fun award at the end of the race, and we were all kind of try and go for it. So my first time, super happy. Thank you.
Okay, Mark, if you'd come back on up. The next is the Iditarod Most Improved Musher Award. The person who rose the most positions since he or she last raced.
Most improved musher in the 2022 Iditarod is Chad Stoddard. If Chad could please come up. I truly believe this. With mushers like Chad, the Iditarod's future is really bright. He's been a great representative of all of you mushers and this whole organization. Thank you, Chad.
Yep. Thank you. Yep. Just like to say thank you to the Iditarod and all the sponsors and everyone that helped to get me to the starting line. Everyone that works at Dallas's Kennel, and Dallas, Mitch, and Dan, and all the CVs that came before me. So thank you all very much.
The next special award to be presented was voted on by the Iditarod Official Finishers Club, and it is the Donlin Gold Sportsmanship Award. The winner will receive a check, $3,000 from Donlin Gold, and a plaque. Please welcome Ron Rimmelman of Donlin Gold to make the presentation. Good to see you, Ron, and not by Zoom for once.
Yes, it is good to see you again, John, too. So thank you for all that you do. Just on a broad level, about 10 years ago, Stan Fu came to us with the opportunity to become a principal partner for the Iditarod, and we welcome that opportunity, and it's been a great thing for us, and we look forward to continuing to do that for many years to come. Since 2015, we've had the honor of sponsoring and presenting the Sportsmanship Award. And as was John said, what's great about that is that award is basically voted on by the mushers themselves, the peers. So it's great. So this year's award is being given to Travis Beals. And he's getting... Hopefully Travis is not in line and will be mad at us if he, hopefully someone will save his place. Travis is getting this award this year, generally because of the support he provides to all mushers, but specifically the help, the sled he provided to Chad Stoddard that enabled him to get here to Nome. So from Donlin Gold, congratulations, Travis.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks to all the mushers who voted on me for this. That's a super special award, and thanks for everybody traveling out there. And yeah, it's just a blast. I really enjoy the community of these mushers, and you guys are all the people I want to be around. It's just a really, cool family in a way. So thank you.
Thank you. Stay forward. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks, Ron. The next special award to be presented is the Most Inspirational Award. This year's recipient will receive a free entry into the 2023 Iditarod. Mark?
This award is voted on by the IOFC, the Iditarod Official Finishers Club. This year we had an individual that many of you have heard about, had a couple run-in with moose, but even more than that, just his general all-over good attitude, all-around good attitude during the race. This award this year is, of course, going to go to Matthew Thaler.
Oh, I'd like to thank the IOFC and all of our competitors. There's a lot of people that deserve this award, and I'd like to thank my dogs for getting us here, and I guess I'd also like to thank Mr. Gaston Glock for being such a good engineer and inventing such a reliable pistol. And I hope Galena really enjoyed those tender legs and back straps. As I had to keep going.
Okay, the Northern Air Cargo Herbie Nyakpuk Memorial Award. This award recognizes the musher who best epitomizes Herbie's spirit of mushing the Iditarod. The recipient is selected by a vote of the checkers along the coast, which incorporate the Bering Strait Native Corporation, the region in which Herbie lived, to include the checkpoints from Unalakleet to Nome. Here to present the award is John Andre, Customer Relations Manager at Northern Air Cargo.
Hey, good evening, everybody. It's great to see everyone here in person after a few years. I'm standing in for John, who's a very capable award holder. I'm Gideon Garcia, General Manager, and also joined by Patrick, our other sales manager. And we're just honored to be celebrating our 30th year of supporting the Iditarod. It's a real honor to be amongst such champions everywhere. So thank you all, everyone. There's a saying that I want to quote here from Earl Warren, former Chief Justice of the United States Supreme Court. He said, "I always turn the sports section first. The sports page records people's accomplishments. The front page has nothing but man's failures." That was in 1968, a few years before the Iditarod started. I'm sure if he'd had a chance to watch the Iditarod, he would be impressed with the accomplishments of everyone who participates. Truly, to be in this race is an accomplishment. Herbie Nyakpuk was born in Shishmaref in 1929. He was a veteran, long-distance and middle-distance runner for dog mushing. He was known as the Shishmaref Cannonball. He was one of the original mushers in the 1973 race. He consistently placed in the top 10 of the 11 times he ran between 1973 and 1988. And he reached the highest finishing of second place in 1980. His Iditarod career was recognized numerous times for his accomplishments. He was honored with the Halfway Award in 1980, twice with the Golden Harness Award, and in 1988 received the Most Inspirational Award. In 1992, his competitive spirit and contributions were recognized with an Honorary Musher Award. The winner of this award is decided on by a vote of the checkpoint personnel and vets, as we heard a moment ago, so it's really chosen by the peers and the people who've watched the mushers through every day of the race. So it's a real honor in that regards. So not only will the musher who gets this award get this awesome trophy, suitable for any kennel that it could find its home in, but will also receive a really useful jacket when you're working with your dogs, stuffed with $1,049 one bills, right there for you. Real practical, real useful, might feed some dogs. It is a great pleasure this year for Northern Air Cargo to announce the winner of the Herbie Nyakpuk Award, none other than Martin Boozer. Martin, please come up and receive your award.
Good to see you, sir. Come on up.
I'll set that down for a second. You can do your thing. Congratulations.
Thank you. Well, I'm overwhelmed, ladies and gentlemen. This is so freaking cool. Mostly because I'm one of the few people that got to race with Herbie so many years ago, and just I think it was 2 days ago in the library I told some Herbie Nyakpuk stories. Maybe I repeat one real quick. In Unalakleet so many years ago, we finally got to the coast, and Herbie had a new sled waiting for him. Homemade birchwood sled made by Herbie Nyakpuk. It had no brake. He did not need a brake because his dogs were trained so well he could whoa and slow them down on his voice command alone. What was very special about Herbie's sled was, however, at the bottom of the sled, and that was, I think it was 1793 when we ran that race, or maybe it was 1822, I don't remember. It was so long ago. We didn't have great runner plastic, but that didn't disturb Herbie at all because he had ivory on the bottom of his runners. Now, those of you that don't live in the north realize that there is no 6-foot-long walrus tusks that would go at the bottom of the runners. How did he manage that? Well, it would not behoove you to have rigid ivory on the bottom of the runners anyway, because the undulation and the terrain would break that ivory. So the indigenous people, way before Herbie, solved that problem by shaping 4 to 6 inch piece long ivory sections, beveled them at 45-degree angle, drilled tiny little holes, and lashed those ivory pieces at the bottom of the runners. So the runner was actually flexible and could go down the trail, and on conditions like we had the last few days, or like we so often have on the coast, those ivory runners held up fantastically. So that's a Herbie story, and it's a true one to boot. And of course, nobody forgets the biggest smile that was ever on the Iditarod Trail, and that was Herbie Nyakpuk. I'm so honored to receive this award because that's, besides the Red Lantern, one of the very few I have never received. Thank you very much.
Okay, the next award goes to a community along the northern route that embodies what this race is really all about, the true Alaska spirit. It is awarded to the Outstanding Checkpoint of the Year, and Mark Nordman knows who that is.
Thank you, John. A couple little notes on checkpoints along this northern route this year. Of course, last year we knew that we weren't able to come into many communities along the trail here. I do a lot of traveling in the fall and early winter. I've just felt this warmth of people trying to come up and make this happen again in those communities. It was kind of a hard decision. I know we talked about it at the IOSC meeting. But before I get to that award, I want to say a couple other things. I really want to thank a few people that have made this race happen that normally you don't hear about. Joe Meyer, all my coordinators throughout the area here, and of course back in South Central. My judges, if you could stand up, Sebastian and Warren Palfrey are already up. Thank you all. And Sebastian and Warren Palfrey are not with us right now. And then let's talk a little bit about what happened, because we're kind of winding down on these awards right now. Of course, you all know we had really bad conditions out there, life-threatening conditions on the coast this time. I need to thank Mike Owens, Melissa Owens, Michael Owens, who actually got hold of the Stang family over in Council. Edward Sting, Dan, and Daniel, thank you very much. I've got to thank RyanAir, both for a fixed wing and also their helicopter during our pickup of Gerhardt. And then actually the other two that came out, Drew McCann, I heard his name mentioned a little bit earlier, and Scotty Watkins went out and helped us. Without those people, we would have been in a world of hurt, and some of our mushers would have been too. And let's not forget the White Mountain Search and Rescue. That group was incredible, bouncing back and forth. Before I tell you who the award is, the winner of this Golden Clipboard Award, one more thing very dear to my heart. Without Dr. Jody Guest, who's down in Atlanta, Georgia right now, we wouldn't have been able to have this race the last 2 years. She was our COVID czar. I know mushers are tired and volunteers are tired of testing, but she's the reason that we're able to come here. So I'd like a round of applause for all those people, please. So because we had such a warm welcome, and it was brought up at our meeting today from all the checkpoints, this year the Golden Clipboard Award goes to all of our northern route checkpoints. I thank them all very much. Thank you.
The next award is given to the musher who best exemplifies superior dog care throughout the race. The canine athletes that run this race deserve the highest caliber of care, and the musher who wins this award should be recognized for their commitment to their dogs for nearly 1,000 miles of that journey. Please welcome our chief vet, Dr. Stuart Nelson Jr., to present this award. Dr. Nelson.
Welcome to all. This year marked a milestone for the Iditarod. Joe Reddington's vision of a race to Nome was designed to both preserve the historic Iditarod Trail and to maintain the working sled dog's role in our culture. In addition to fulfilling Joe's original concept, the past 50 years have given us a rich heritage from the race itself. We have witnessed the performance of many awesome canine athletes and numerous legendary mushers. Need I mention the countless harrowing stories of the gorge, the burn, and of course, the infamous blowhole. We must also remember the thousands of volunteers who have freely given of their time and talents over the decades. Last but certainly not least, our sponsors and supporters are most appreciated for what they have done and what they continue to do. Let's take a moment to give all of our family, both two-legged and four-legged, a loud and well-deserved round of applause. Yeah. Of equal importance in celebrating our mushers, volunteers, sponsors, and dogs is the evolution of sled dog care. Much has changed since the first race, both in our scientific knowledge and in the standard of care protocols established on their behalf. In our roles as stewards of these animals, it is imperative that the following generations of mushers and veterinarians continue to passionately pursue the evolution of dog care for the next 50 years and beyond. Leonard Seppala was a highly respected musher, most well known for his role in the 1925 Serum Run to Nome. He set the standard for dog care during his era. Tonight, one musher will be honored for his or her exemplary dog care during Iditarod 2022 by receiving the Leonard Seppala Humanitarian Award. The recipient is chosen by a combination of voting by trail veterinarians and scoring of the teams after their arrival in Nome. Voting is based on the observed care at checkpoints. Each trail veterinarian is asked to submit their first, second, and third choices. Scoring is performed by a veterinary team in the Nome dog lot. Each dog is evaluated based on hydration, attitude, body weight, and gait. The points from both voting and scoring are then added together to determine the winner. A team must finish in the top 20 to be eligible. And now, the envelope. John, would you like the honors?
Dan Caduce.
I can't explain what an honor this award is. If you would have asked me at the beginning of this season or any season of mushing what my goal for my entire career would be, it would be this very award. And to make it through such a tough year with a full team and do it in a manner that put me in the front of the race, I can't thank my dog team enough for everything they did. And also the help that the vets give along the way is absolutely imperative. The way that they are just right there every step of the way, giving you the advice that you need to be able to bring a big, healthy team to the finish line is something we just couldn't do without. So thanks so much to all the vets. Thank you.
The Red Lantern Award is a symbol of perseverance for the Iditarod. According to historians, awarding the Red Lantern to the last place finisher has become an Alaskan tradition in sled dog racing. An award this year is presented by the Linden family of companies to the final team to cross the finish line in recognition of their perseverance and commitment to completing the job despite unexpected challenges. Mike Morris from Linden is here this evening. Please come forward, Mike.
Good evening. I'm Mike Morris with Linden. I'm proud to be sponsored with the Linden families here for supporting the Iditarod. And tonight we are coming to the finals of everything for a long week for a bunch of folks and an entertaining and an exciting week. The Red Lantern is an indication that the last mushers made it in, and we're proud to present this to Poyak Renton. This award also comes with $1,000 for the winner as well for finishing the final race.
Yeah, wow. It's a huge honor to win this. Yeah, thanks to Joran Margot Olsson and Siva Racing Kennel for borrowing me some great dogs so I could do this. And thanks to Mom and Dad for raising me to be able to do the Iditarod. And thanks to my dogs for getting me there. And yeah, shout outs to all the trans people out there. Yeah, I guess this is.
The next award goes to the most talented four-legged athletes. This award by the City of Nome is called the Lolly Medley, and Brent Sass' team has Slater and Morello this year that are being recognized with the Lolly Medley Golden Harness.
The dogs have all flown home because they're most comfortable back at home, but I can't say enough about these leaders. They were amazing. Slater led 850 miles of the race. Harley came out of lead, and just when he wasn't in lead, he wishes he was up there. So, and Morello too. They both were just absolutely amazing dogs. So, yeah, they'll be back next year, no doubt.
I'd like to ask the representatives from NAC up here one more time. Thank you.
Martin, we forgot one last gift here, a hat here for you to keep your ears and head warm when you're on the trail, made by Shirley Nyakpuk. So this is for you as well. Sorry we missed that oversight there. So please enjoy.
All right, we have made it through the special awards, and at this time we will begin with the Musher Awards for the 2022 Iditarod.
All right, folks, I know you're getting tired of me. We all would rather see Mark up here. Mark's much more eloquent. But as we get into the next stage of the presentation tonight, NAC, Northern Air Cargo, is very honored to give away this awesome Rancher Honda four-wheeler ATV. And this is going to be fun. This is going to be fun. We always make it a little exciting here as the mushers come up to give their speeches. We have a nice berry bucket. John, I'm going to hold up the berry bucket here. Great for picking all your berries. And there are going to be keys in there. Keys. One lucky key will turn over the four-wheeler for you, and everyone gets a chance to pull one out. So it will be a fun opportunity to see who wins. And we're very proud to offer this. And it's nice NAC red colors. And we've been told over the years, thank you for your feedback, that people appreciate Hondas. So we listened and we got a Honda for you. So anyhow, enjoy, and let's look forward to these awesome tales from the trail. Looking forward to hearing all of your adventures out there. So thank you, and I now cede the floor.
Okay, we're going to ask each musher to come forward in the reverse order from first to finish. So our musher in 37th position will be the first one to come to the stage to claim their finisher's packet. And finishing in 13 days, 8 hours, 39 minutes, and 13 seconds, Apiak Rattan. And then if the rest of you remember the order in which you arrived, maybe you could be prepared to hit the stage next. Oh, okay. Stop and try the key. Congratulations on your finish. And here's your finisher's patch and the like. And if you'd like to please take the mic, you're welcome.
Yeah, already. Yeah, I'm just very happy that I got to finish this year. And yeah, once again, thanks to UR and Margot and Mike at Siva Racing Kennel. And thanks to my mom and dad and everybody who's out there supporting me, and thanks to my dogs for getting me here, and thanks to Gail Casey from Nonstop for arranging for me to have trans pride colored booties for my dogs for the ceremonial start. It was very pretty. And thanks to all the volunteers and all the vets and everybody who makes this possible. And yeah, once again, trans rights.
Finishing in position number 36 from Healy, Alaska, Yuka Honda. 13 days, 8 hours, 28 minutes. Second Iditarod start.
My 6-dog team I finished with, and they were just phenomenal through the top cocks and into the blowhole and everywhere else. So yeah, huge thank you most of all to the little dogs I have. And yeah, thanks again to all the race vets and volunteers and staff, and of course all my family and friends at home supporting me and watching me. And yeah, thank you.
In 32nd place, in her 10th Iditarod, Karin Hendrickson.
Well, it's really fun to be here. And the whole way down the trail, I just kept thinking how lucky I was to be there. And everybody who's involved and out on the trail, whether it's vets or volunteers or us mushers, it's not always easy, but man, are we lucky to be out there. The places we get to go and the things we see and the people we're involved with and those dogs that are just amazing. Like, I couldn't stop smiling about how awesome it was to be out there, and I just want to remind everybody to be grateful that we get to be part of this really special thing. And just thank a few folks that are behind me and helping me, my handler Dave back home, Greg, my mom. I don't have a lot of sponsors, but I got people helping me, and they deserve a lot of thanks. So.
In 31 place, I'd like to bring rookie Matt Paveglio to the stage. Matt will grab the key.
Wow, from a fan to a volunteer to a musher, it's been an awesome journey. Big thanks to all the volunteers, of course, the judges, the villages, the pilots, especially the veterinary staff. They saved my butt from day one. So big thanks to you guys. Thanks to Iditarod for having this amazing communication system that when things went wrong or right, they were right on top of it. So from a rookie looking in, it just couldn't have got better, from my opinion. Big thanks to the veterans that I called on throughout the season. Lev, Mila, just the list goes on. And then the veterans, the Iditarod veterans that were there along with me on the trail, you know, watching Jeff, running next to Karin and Matt and Riley. These guys change your perspective on how things are tough and what is tough. And they kept me smiling. They kept me seeing the positive. So that's what you need, is to run along people like that. And then big thanks to my rookie class. I had a personal relationship with a lot of them. Bonfires, training trips, just talking, and what an amazing class. I got my start with Jim Lanier. Got to thank Lanier and the Northern Whites. Bob Bunsen, I ran one of his dogs, Diamond. He took me in quite a ways. And then a big thanks to Kathleen Frederick. Without Kathleen and a lot of people from her coaching tree, I wouldn't be here. Kathleen's got a group of dogs that I started bonding with in September. I would work 3 days in the hospital, and I'd come to the yard for 4 days, and I would try and get as much intimate time with them as possible. And just, you have no idea what you're working with if you've been with the team for 1 year. I ran these dogs, and every time they got tougher and tougher and tougher and more amazing. So Kathleen, to you, your dog team is has not even come close to reaching its potential. They, if I could run them every year, I would. If I could take them home with me to Eagle River and be, you know, neighbor of the year, I would absolutely do that. Take all of them. So thank you for giving me the opportunity to run that team. My daughter TG. I'll try and wrap this up, but. My daughter TG, she was a junior Iditarod finisher, a Willow Junior finisher, and by far the toughest person musher that I have ever run with. when it was a training series and we got a warm cabin and dogs camped out back, and it's time to either break up a scuffle or go on the next run, even the second or the third run, she got up, she went, she did the work, and she's caught the bug. So it's probably likely I get to stay around the sport a little bit longer because my daughter has caught the bug. And then last but not least, the thanks is my wife, Kelsey. We had trees fall down in October. We had snow fall on our driveway all winter long. I was unable to touch any of it. She took care of home, she took care of finance, she took care of our daughter, and I didn't have to do anything but go in the woods and play with my dog. So big thanks to Kelsey. And then there's a number of things that happened on the trail that were wonderful, but one solitary moment coming through Takatna and having a girl that had a sweatshirt that said blessed on it. She handed me a sack lunch, and it was probably one of the neatest, most intimate experiences on the trail. Genuinely smiling. I'd love to go back to Takatna. The hill out of there was just slow enough where I could kick up it and eat the entire sack lunch in 2.5 miles. So thank you to everybody involved, especially the girl in Takatna.
In 30th place, in his 11th Iditarod, please welcome Matthew Thaler.
Hey everyone, thanks for coming out and supporting us and the Iditarod. First and foremost, I'd like to thank my wife Liz, the backbone of our kennel and operation, although she's out on the trail reporting and kind of bringing stories to all of you. So we hope that you're enjoying the insider coverage. If you're not, obviously buy your subscription and support the race, please. My parents, our family, they're always have been so supportive in helping me and the dogs. Our handlers, Dane and Casey, back home. Without them, we couldn't do this. They obviously are taking care of everything, all the rest of the dogs, and continuing to help support the team. My host families here in Nome, Aaron and Aubrey, we really appreciate you guys opening up your home to us, along with Tim and Hannah, Ruth Ann, Ani, and Evie. You guys are awesome. You become family of ours, so we really appreciate it. You know, running Iditarod is a great odyssey. It's now becoming something more than just traveling with dogs. We get to come up and see friends and family. So too bad we just can't do it more often and see these people. So we're really proud and happy that COVID is starting to subside and go away, so we can actually kind of keep embracing and seeing these awesome people up and down the trail. Our 17 dog booster family, Alaskan Husky Adventures, Power Stroke Performance, Wolex, Phillips Tube Group, K2 Woodworking, and O'Mackerly Custom Knives. These people really allow me and my wife to do this fun sport. So thank you so much.
In 29th place, in his second Iditarod, please welcome Deke Nakporan.
Awesome. Yeah, it was a great Iditarod. I'd like to thank, first of all, my sponsors. My main sponsor is Aurora Animal Clinic back in Fairbanks, Uncle Lars Outpost, the one and only Chicken Creek Saloon in Chicken, Alaska, and all the individual dog sponsors that went ahead and sponsored an individual dog. I have quite a team with me. I'd like to give them all a lot of thanks. It really takes a village. But first, I didn't get to do this in 2020 on my rookie Iditarod year. I was part of the Elam 11. I spent 50 hours in the beautiful town of Elam. I made friends with the grocery store clerks, and the Wi-Fi gets shut off at the school about 9 o'clock every night. So it was a really nice experience. But probably the coolest thing that happened to me in 2020 is I took my 24-hour layover in Ophir, Alaska, and I was one of 7 people that did that. I met my wonderful, beautiful girlfriend named Nikki, who happened to be a vet there in Ophir, because, you know, when you run the Iditarod, you're looking for that special someone. So, and if you don't believe me, ask Christy Barrington and Andy there. So they also met in Ophir. But Nikki has been with me now for 2 years, since the 2020 Iditarod. She has a beautiful lake home in Wisconsin by Lake Geneva, and she decided to actually spend her winters with me now in Fairbanks. So thank you very much, Nikki. You're the absolute 100% best, and she likes cleaning dog poop. So you're the best. So my other main man, unbelievable person, best friend is Eric back there. Eric's been involved in the Yukon quest for 10 years, and I kind of stole him from the Yukon quest, and he's become my absolute right-hand man. So thank you, Eric. I love you guys so much, and just couldn't do any of this without you. And then I got to thank Coulter. He drove my dogs home yesterday from Anchorage. Thank you, Julie, who helped him with that and was my drop dog person. Travis and Heidi, who fell in love with my dog Simba, and they've adopted like 2 or 3 of my other dogs. Thank you, guys. I have a cousin in Nome named Molly Knockaborn with my same last name. Are you kidding me? She became my host. So thank you, Molly Knockaborn. I can't believe I have a cousin in Nome that became my host family. And then back to the race. The checkpoints this year, the villages, they were all awesome. A 10 out of 10. I felt like I was coming home to every single checkpoint. Made a lot of new friends, and yeah, I'll be back next year to do the 2023 Iditarod. And a huge shout out to Brent and Dallas. They're both those guys are true champions. Dallas was in safety to welcome the mushers in on his own will, on his own time, and said, "My dog's looking good. You got 22 miles. You know, you got this, man." And Brent was at the finish to welcome me in. That's about as good as it is, and I thank you guys. You guys are nothing but true champions. And finally, thank you, my dogs. My dog Jasmine, it's her 3rd 1,000-mile race, and she led 900 miles. And yeah, I love them so much. So thank you, Iditarod family. We'll see you next year. So yeah.
'28th, Jeff King from Denali Park, 30 Iditarods. 11 days, 1 hour, and 58 minutes.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight for Iditarod 2022 Awards Banquet. Been very fun to be in this year's race. Was totally unexpected. Many of you may have heard, but I will give you the short version of the story of me even being here. But Amanda Otto has been working for me for the last several years, and her dream was to run the Iditarod, and our agreement was that she take the Husky Homestead team this year, and she is trained and qualified. And on our last training run, just 5 or 6 days before the start of the race on the Denali Highway, I was on a snowmobile. Amanda had the team, and near the end of the run, I went ahead back to Cantwell to load the snow machine, and I had a text on my phone from Nick Petit, and it said, "I'm in a pickle." And those were words I had used when I pulled out of the Kobuk 440 last year. Reading his message, he said that he had tested positive for COVID, and that he wanted us to discuss the possibility of me running his team. I've raced Nick for many, many years, over a decade, maybe two, and have always been impressed with an incredible team he puts on the field. And it took me about 30 minutes to decide that I would look into this seriously, and gave Mark Nordman a call to see if it was legal, and of course it turned out it was, and here I am. But I didn't have much notice. I'm not sure I'd have done it if I had had more notice. I loved the spontaneity of the whole thing, and I'll get back to Nick and his dogs, but hearing, I want to mention that it was 41 years ago, in 1981, that I ran my first Iditarod. I stayed with the Burmeisters here in town. Aaron was just a little snot. Run into my bedroom and want to meet an Iditarod musher. I remember it well, the back far side of town. But in 1981, I did finish the Iditarod in 28th place. And it took me 15 days and some change, which up until that very year had won many of the Iditarods. That year, the Iditarod in 81 was won by Rick Swenson in over 12 days. And I finished 28th place in 15 days. Here, 41 years later, I finished 28th place in 11 days. And it's really fun to look back on the whole thing. The first time I think I ever heard the word Iditarod, I'm not sure I pronounced it right because I didn't hear it, I read it. I came to Alaska in 1975 for a summer job at Denali, and I was still there in 1976, and my parents were trying to get me to go back to college, and I needed to go take my SAT test. So lo and behold, arrangements were made to take my SAT test in Nenana, Alaska in the summer of 1976. I was all alone, put in a classroom, given my test and the proper pencils, and in the room that I was put all by myself was a chalkboard, and on the chalkboard it said, "Congratulations, Jerry Riley, winner of the 1976 Iditarod." And I thought, what the heck is that? And that's the first time I think I heard the words. Within the next year, needless to say, I either didn't do very well on my SAT tests or I just chose not to go back to college and have continued to be here ever since. I listened to Joe May finish the Iditarod in the early 80s. I believe it was 1979 or 80. And he was coming into Nome, and I was listening to it on the classic Sears super radio in my tent on the trap line somewhere north of Kantishna all by myself, listening to this guy finishing 1,000 miles on a dog sled. And I remember thinking, I want to try that. It sounded impossible, but I thought if they can do it, it must not be impossible, and I would give it a try. And here I am 41 years later, and didn't go up a single place. But it's been very fun. And listen to Martin to talk about stories of Herbie and Urbach. I am also privileged to have run the trail. In 81, Herbie was in the race. And I remember arriving at Squentna, and they parked me, or I parked my team right next to Herbie and Urbach. I had these very well planned out food drops with everything separated, portion control for the dogs and for myself, as my research has indicated I should do. But I thought it was really weird that Herbie and Urbach's drop bags were just long cylinders. And I thought it was interesting, their shape was very distinct, like two long cylinders was all he had in these bags. When I watched him open his bag and open it up, an entire whole skinned seal came out. The entire carcass of a seal. And he got out his axe and his knife and he started chopping meat off the seal to feed his dogs. And he would eat the seal as well as he proceeded. It was fun to I want to tell a story about Herbie and Urbach that he told several times, but I'm guessing many of you haven't heard. But he eventually grew to like other things besides seal for his own personal food. And he became well known for having Kentucky Fried Chicken on the trail. And he loved Kentucky Fried Chicken, and people always were talking to him about it. And somebody asked him, Herbie, how do you eat it frozen? How do you do this? And he goes, well, no, I stick it down in my pants. And he sticks his hands down his pants, and everyone was real quiet, and he smiled and said, adds flavor. Of course, it is not unusual for mushers and sourdoughs in Alaska to put food they needed to keep warm somewhere in their body, whether it's under their armpit or in their groin. And it most certainly was no doubt true, but it did come across with a lot of humor. I want to thank Nick Petit because this has turned out to be a real trip down memory lane for me. I wasn't sure I would ever run the Iditarod again. Pretty sure I won't ever run the Iditarod again. Not because it wasn't wonderful, because it really was. There were some really hard places. It certainly isn't easy. After years of telling my guests at Husky Homestead that the musher really doesn't need to be an athlete, it's the dogs. Well, it helps. And as I look at the incredible athletes that were driving the teams in the front of this year's Iditarod, it became very clear that yes, the dogs are incredibly important, but they have to be guided by someone with the energy and physique and fitness to have them reach their potential. I wanted to say hi to Rachel Fabrizi in Florida. She's now going through her second cancer treatments. It was very touching to her, for me today, to hear from her that watching the race, the tracker, and the insider has been very influential in having her get through her treatments, and I wish her very well. Rachel was actually a small child in my sled with the Make-A-Wish Foundation 20 years ago. Now fate has dealt her an entirely new cancer challenge, and I'm glad the Iditarod could be there to distract her through her treatments. I've had a lot of people ask me what it's like to run a dog team that you didn't know, and trust me, I did not know them. I was pretty frustrated with Nick on the last morning, loading him up. I had gone through their names over and over and over. He'd written them all down, and one of them name was Robert. And I didn't know who was who, but I know there was which names were in the team. And so when we loaded the dogs for the morning of the start, we were at his kennel, and I heard him say, all right, Bob, get in the trailer. And I went, Bob? There's no dog named Bob. And he goes, Robert. I go, is it Robert or is it Bob? And he goes, yes. And Nick's team, incredibly well-trained and incredibly copacetic with each other. I can't imagine any of them being grumpy or fighting, and they were absolute spectacular athletes, and I thank you very much, Nick, for that opportunity. A lot of people ask me, and well-deserved, if you know me at all, I can often get my own children's names mixed up. People ask, do you have their names down yet? Well, Sebastian, the judge in McGrath, saw me as I was dealing with the dogs, and he goes, so how's it going? You got their names down? And I go, I pretty much got it. I mean, this is Sally. And I went, no, Susie. And he just burst out laughing because I had the first letter right and the number of syllables right, but it was Susie and not Sally. And it wasn't until I got to know him that I got corrected on the pronunciation of a couple others. But nonetheless, we got along very well, and it was a real treasure. I want to thank and congratulate Amanda Otto for representing Husky Homestead team. It was really fun to have the chance to travel with dogs and a person that I knew well in the dog mushing world. So I think that's all. Thank you very much, and thanks again, Nick, and congratulations, Amanda.
Amanda, number 27, 11 days, 1 hour, 57 minutes. From Denali, please welcome.
Wow, so grateful to be here today. I'd obviously like to thank Iditarod and all the volunteers who have volunteered their time and energy to make this race happen. Really special for me to be here in Nome. Love to thank Jeff. It was fabulous traveling the trail with you and your dogs, and I would not have been able to do this race without him, so thank you very much. I enjoyed it immensely. Thank you to my parents for traveling to Nome, for supporting my dream of running the Iditarod. Thank you for coming to Nome and seeing me through the finish. That was really special. Thank you to Lisa for cheering me on and coming to see me in Roan, and for my Husky Homestead crew, to Tara, Savannah, Erica, and Martin for holding down the fort. You guys mean the world to me. Again, thank you to my dogs. I got to travel with a very fabulous group of athletes, and I could not be more proud of their accomplishments. Most of them, it was their very first race. Thank you so much to Wolverine Tax and Financial for scooping me up this year and sponsoring me financially. Those of you who contributed to my GoFundMe page, it means the world to me. And thank you to my family and friends who couldn't be here on the trail but have followed me through social media and online, and your words of encouragement have meant the world to me. Again, so grateful to be here. Thank you very much.
Martin Boozer, number 26. Four-time champion, 19 top 10 finishes, 39 Iditarods, 10 days, 21 hours, and 17 minutes.
Over the decades, I spent quite a bit of money on freight for NAC. I thought if I get the four-wheeler, we're going to call it even. This my 39th trip. That's just such an unusual number. Became clear to me that yes, way older than you have been around. Such an unusual number, and it became clear that this is a generational event. Traveling through some of those checkpoints where it starts at Yentna Station, of course, where the Gabberzaks are in their second generation. You get on further down the trail, you see the Runkles in the second, maybe even the third generation of volunteers and being part of the race. And on up the trail, you meet people that have now sent their kids to welcome the straggling musher, the smelly musher coming into the checkpoint, sharing their Eskimo salad or their baggies of muktuk with us. And then you get to know how many of you have the great fortune to have a host family for over 30 years. We're heading into grown-ups now, and not only are those kids grown up, they have children of their own. So that's the third generation of supporters and fans coming up. Of course, we're not getting younger, and since we're telling Herbie Nayukpuk stories, it was one of those days that in those 39 banquets, I missed one. That was probably maybe the most memorable one, because tomorrow, some 30 some years ago is the birthday of my son. Our boy Nikolai was born during the banquet, and we remember Joanne Potts chastising me, if Kathy had the baby 4 hours before the next flight, you're going to be a gnome. Well, it was actually, we had our own little banquet. Those of you that remember the storm and the challenges of that year, Gary Whittemore was in the hospital. Herbie Urbach was in the hospital. Martin Boozer was in the hospital. While Kathy was doing all the work, she actually taught me new words in the 30-some years of labor that she was enduring. I still hadn't quite mastered the English language quite well. As the doctors, she had started labor here in Nome and then wisely chose to go to Anchorage. As the doctors were monitoring our firstborn son, they kept saying, but the baby is just fine. The baby is just fine. And then she says, but I am, and there was a few expletives in between, maybe am not, so it was quite a memorable experience. And every now and again, Gary would come down from one floor and meet us halfway, and Herbie we would come and see Herbie at the hospital, and we had our own little banquet there and our own get-together. So I'm blessed to have had friends near, far, at the checkpoints, at the start, in between, and certainly here at the finish line. So then, of course, it continues on. We're not only having generational experiences. In my case, I have been blessed with almost 40 years of thoroughbreeding dogs now. So the dogs that have propelled me to the finish line this time around have their roots in the 1970s, and I can, on my pedigree program, can prove the lineage of those dogs. But in the team itself, we had Beans, who's the father of a lot of the dogs that were in the team. So the generational experience not only is for the two-legged people, but for the four-legged creatures as well. So it's a fun affair to travel through the state of Alaska, and it was a great honor to be part of the 50th anniversary. Thank you very much.
Please now welcome Joe Taylor, who finished his first Iditarod, position number 25, 10 days, 21 hours, 10 minutes.
Yeah, just want to thank all my friends and families. They're kind of my main sponsors. Thanks Ryan and Rochelle and Cody and Joy. They were my host family here, took good care of me. I had a good time on the trail. I owe big thanks to Brent Sass, who trusted me with 4 2-year-olds this season that I was training along with my dogs. And they all came on the race with me and rocked it. And so thanks for trusting me with those, Brent. And then a quick thank you to Martin Boozer. On the last run there, I was approaching him about 5-10 miles outside of Nome, and we're not racing. I don't know the etiquette, but my team was moving with a little bit more pace than Martin's, and I'm coming up behind him. I'm like, can I pass him? Should I just follow him to Nome? I don't know what to do. And I start coming up behind Martin, and he starts yelling at me, and I'm like, oh God, I messed up. And and he's yelling at me, coffee, do you want coffee? And so I came up to Martin and his team. We parked our teams next to each other and enjoyed a cup of coffee. And Martin's got the perfect mix of Swiss mix, hot cocoa, and coffee powder. And so we enjoyed a good cup of mocha on the trail there about 5 miles outside of Nome. And that really kind of was a perfect bookend to the race for me. So, yeah, thanks everyone for all the support. And I think one big thank you to all the volunteers and logistics people who are running on probably less sleep than me, and they don't have people cheering them along the way. And so big thanks to all those guys too. Thank you.
Okay, please welcome now Christy Barrington, position 24, from Knik, 10 days, 8 hours, and 45 minutes. This is our 13th Iditarod.
It feels so good to be back in Nome. Thank you, everybody here, all the competitors and volunteers, everybody that makes this race possible. I thank you so much for allowing me to have the opportunity to do this race with my dogs and my friends and family. Big thanks to my husband, Andy Poole, for putting up with me for years, wanting to do this and to keep doing this and being my biggest fan and my biggest supporter. Thank you to my friends and family. My sister Kat does a wonderful blog about our journey, and I really appreciate all the work she puts into that. Aaron and Courtney, thank you so much for taking care of the dogs at home and giving us updates every day. I really like to hear how the dogs and the 2 cats are doing. A big thank you to all my sponsors, especially GCI, who's a big part of the race for everybody that participates and just a personal sponsor of mine and Anna's. I want to thank all my dogs. They were just amazing, and we got down on numbers pretty quick because of they were getting sick, but the 6 that I finished with were amazing and so strong. And the 7th dog on my team, I feel like, was Anna. I wasn't going to get upset like this. Stop it. But I can't thank her enough for giving me the courage to keep going and to the belief and the faith in me and that little team to travel the trail with her. And I couldn't have done it without her. And it was a struggle to watch her ride up Cape Nome, looking back at me while I was Superman pushing and running as hard as I could to try to keep up with her. So thank you so much for the amazing journey, and I can't thank you enough.
"34 seconds sooner in position number 23, Anna Barrington, or her 11th Iditarod. Anna?
Thank you to Nome and everyone here. Thank you, Alaska Missions, for giving us a place to stay and taking care of us. It was really awesome to be back on the traditional trail. And thank you to everyone involved with Iditarod, volunteers, vets, race fans, and everybody that keeps that blood flowing. We need that. And a big thank you to all my sponsors, and I couldn't be here without the sponsors. It's just a full-time job to run dogs, and it doesn't have much returns besides love of dogs and being out there and enjoying everything. GCI is one of my biggest supporters, and they're also one of Iditarod's biggest supporters, but my mom really likes the fact that I can give her a text message or a call in a lot of villages. So it was great to stay in touch with her. And huge thank you to my sister Kat. She really just helps keep information flowing and just does a lot of the stuff that I don't like to do, like paperwork things and stuff. I'd rather be outside doing things. She just takes on a lot. If she wanted to be a dog musher, she'd be a good one, but she's got a lot of skills that she gives to us. And a big thank you to Aaron and Courtney for taking care of all the dogs at home. Big thank you to the Poole family for helping us get things organized and happening, and Andy doing trail work and all that kind of stuff. Big thank you to all the dogs. Rizzo, everybody should know who Rizzo is. She's done Iditarod 6 times. She's 48 pounds, but if something was going to be tricky or scary, that little dog's going to be up there and lead. She is just phenomenal, and it's going to be sad to see her retire, but she's a little star. She hates the limelight. She hates that attention, but she is just a little star. And a big thank you to Christy. She's done the same for me many years, and Iditarod whenever time we've run together. A couple of years I got down on dogs, and I was really proud of her attitude. Even though she had a smaller team, she kept pushing and just never had any quit, and that's what you want to see in a dog, and that's what you want to see in a musher. So good job, Christy.
The 22nd finisher in the 2022 50th Iditarod hails from Sweden, Mats Peterson.
Hello everybody, and I'm really happy to be here again. My 7th attempt to be in the race from overseas, so I'm really happy, and I want to thank first of all my musher friends out here who is helping me, and it's a pleasure to be on the trail with every year. I'm really looking forward to meet you out there. And my host family here in Nome, Nikolai Ivanov, 6 years I've been staying in his place here in Nome, and his family take care of me very well. and all the preparation before the race. Spending this year with Julia and Ray Reddington and Nick, they helped me a lot with all these preparations. I'm really happy to have them in my life. They've been also over to Sweden and visit me. I also thanks very much, of course, all the vets and all volunteers and the judge on the race. It's been super nice to work with over this all 7 years I've been here. So I'm really thrilled about that. And most thanks to my family and my wife here, Lotta, and everything around. Thank you, guys.
The 21st finisher hails from Quebec, Canada. Martin Masakade.
I would like to thank my dog, volontaire and vet, my sponsor, Financière Banque Nationale, Jean-Paul Fortier, frère, Mosh High Tech, Bike Boy Design, Gravel, Pierre Langevin, Pneu TC. Thank you for my handler and wife, Marie. Thank you to Rosa and TJ for hosting us. You became your family and home, and Jay Fouché, your house, and Willow. Thank you.
Okay, the top 20. In 20th place, from Cantwell, Alaska, Paige Drobny.
Hello. Thanks everyone for being here. Yeah, another Iditarod in the books. This is my 9th Iditarod, and this one was probably the toughest one that I've been on. The trail was difficult from the beginning to the end, and thankfully I didn't have to be in the storm like a lot of people did at the end, but the winds were tough nonetheless. But I want to thank all my sponsors for this year. Fairbanks Chevy, Buick GMC, Woodland Wellness Center, Alaska Dog Center, Kinko for our gloves, Quantic School of Business and Technology, Ursa Major Distilling, T-Rose Veterinary Service, TNT Dog Center, and Big Dan's Pet Food. And also, I just kind of want to highlight, this is all about the dogs, and I think a lot of people in this race showed that this year. There was a lot of people that brought dogs into the cabins in really inclement weather, and it just shows how much people care for their dogs regardless of the penalties that happen to them while they're out there. But I would like to thank my 14 dogs, Coop, Joplin, Trax, Sierra, IROC, T-Boz, Clyde, Fredro, Laird, Serena, Ivar, Ragnar, Chevelle, and Uncle Jesse. They did such an amazing job out there, and I'm just so proud of them every day. Again, just to highlight a dog, Chevelle is 8 years old, and she has run 12,000-mile races, which is super impressive. At the beginning of the race, everyone asks, how do you pick your dogs for your team? And it's a challenge every time. There's so many good dogs, and they all deserve to be out there. Chevelle lives on the couch. She goes out for runs and comes back onto the couch. And I struggled. I knew that she would like to be out there, but I also know that she likes to be on the couch. So I was thinking, a 2-year-old that's really proved themselves, that's a really good leader, or Chevelle who might like to be on the couch a little bit more, but also, loves to be with me. And she doesn't like cold weather. And so as we got closer to the race and saw it was going to be warm weather, I thought, well, you know what? This might be Chevelle's last race. I'm going to take her. And boy, that dog impressed the heck out of me. This is probably her best race by far. She normally doesn't eat when it's a little bit colder. And so she loses a little bit of weight and gets a little bit stiff. And so maybe, isn't as happy toward the end of the race. But this year with the warm weather, she was eating 4 bowls of food, taking food from other dogs, standing up anytime she saw a bucket and barking at me for more food. Anyone that saw me on the trail, if my dogs were barking as we passed you as you're trying to camp, I apologize. That's Chevelle letting you know that she's super excited to be there. She actually gained a pound on the race, so just proof that she was super excited to be out there. And but she's back on the couch now, and also excited to be there. So anyway, thanks for all the support, and hopefully we'll be back.
In 19th place, our Rookie of the Year from Norway, Hannah Lyric.
I just want to say thank you to all of my sponsors for getting me here. Without them, it would be pretty much impossible to get all the way from Norway. Thank you to all my friends and family back home, our business, especially my parents and Mathias and Tuva, that really are my biggest supporters. Thank you to everyone involved in the race, vets and volunteers. Without you, it would be impossible for us to be out there and do what we love. And of course, thank you to my dogs for taking me here. None of them have ever run this far, so they impressed me a lot, and it's just been a great experience, and we hope to be back. Thank you.
In her 12th Iditarod, in 18th place, Michelle Phillips from Yukon Territory, Canada.
Thanks very much, everybody. Thanks very much to all the Iditarod volunteers and all the people who work so hard to put the Iditarod on every year. I'd like to thank my husband, Ed, Avery, Deb, my family and friends, and all my sponsors.
In 17th place, from Denmark, Milla Porsled. You gotta try it. Spencer will be representing Milla. She cannot be here this evening.
Hey everybody, I'm obviously not Milla Porsled, and I'm obviously not Milla Porsled and don't exactly know what I'm doing in every step here, but I am her partner, and I've got a message from her for everyone. Before the race, Milla had a suspicion that all was not well with her mother, and when she asked her mom, she said she wanted Milla to take part in the race and that she'd be fine. When Milla arrived in Nome, she was informed that her mother, who was suffering from lung cancer, had been hospitalized and was on oxygen. Milla raced to be by her side and is now there in Denmark, and unfortunately can't be here tonight. She's asked me to thank all her dogs, the race volunteers, everyone in the communities along the trail, and the sponsors who've kept this race alive for the last 5 decades. Please keep this race alive. She also asked me to thank the mushers who helped her along the trail in the true spirit of sportsmanship and in the best interest of our dogs, who this race should be all about. It's heartening to know there are still mushers involved in the Iditarod who are capable of thinking beyond their finishing position and have the capacity to think bigger than themselves and put the dogs and the sport of dog mushing ahead of themselves. Thank you all for being here tonight and for all you've done for our animals.
Our 16th finisher in the 50th Iditarod, in his 7th start, Lev Schwartz.
Okay, I'm pretty bad at this, so I apologize.
I think this is probably the best Iditarod team we've put together. That's debatable. It's probably the last one we'll put together. I want to thank everybody involved with the race. The marshal, the staff, logistics, all the volunteers. It's been an incredible experience. I'd like to thank my wife. I'd like to thank my host family. All of you have been wonderful. Thank you so much.
In his 28th Iditarod, in 15th place, Mitch Seavey.
Hey, good evening, folks. Yeah, this is my 28th Iditarod, so that's getting to be a long time, but I want to say thanks to my wife, Janine, who's been there every single time, and a lot of us can appreciate that kind of support, but she's been really special to me all along, all these years, especially this year. Also, special thanks to Grayson, who's been my main handler and sidekick for several years now, and he's got good things in his future. I want to say also thanks to Gerhard Tiart. Did an amazing job with our second team, and much respect, man. And AJ, his wife, who supports him. We have a great crew at our kennel. Most of us know how that is. If you don't have a good support staff behind you taking care of things at home, you don't get this far. So I really appreciate that. And Rhonda Burnett, our host here in Nome, it's been great. Thank you very much. She's completely opened her home to us. A couple sponsors, Dr. Tim's Dog Food and Petro 49, also Ocean Beauty Icicle Seafoods. Of course, congratulations to Brent. That's an amazing run, almost from wire to wire. Couldn't have done it better, man. That was awesome. And Dallas, you gave him a good chase, but those two are exemplary. But you know, as I had a chance to run this year, a little bit different position in the field than I often do. I got to see a lot of the other, I guess from my perspective now, 62 years old, they're all younger, but the younger mushers, and I see that there's a lot of real great talent there. A lot of these younger guys are amazing dog people. And I know everything, but there's a couple things I saw them doing that I didn't really recognize. So take that for what it's worth. But so they're innovating, they're advancing the sport, and I think given what I see with these younger, at least younger than me, mushers that are completely dedicated to their dogs and their teams, to the sport, to their own competitiveness, but yet the great camaraderie and friendship that exists among all of them. I see really great things for the Iditarod going forward because we've got the dog teams and the dog people who can do this and will persist and do this in the future. So I think we should all be very optimistic and continue to support you mushers. Thanks again, and it's been a great race. Thank you.
In 14th place, from Two Rivers, Alaska, Matt Hall.
You guys know me at this point. I'm usually pretty quick up here. It's a bit scary. So I just have a few thank yous to give out. I'd like to start with my main sponsors. I would like to thank Rod's Alaskan Guide Service, Two Rivers Outpost, Santa Cruz Animal Health, Alaska Icefield Expeditions, all of my dog and kennel sponsors, some of which are here tonight. Thank you. My dog team as well. Have an incredible dog team, a whole bunch of young dogs. Only 2 of them have ever been to Nome before, so it's a great future for them, and I'm super, super excited and so proud of them. I'd like to thank Helen, my host family, opening up those doors. It's an amazing place to stay. Thank you. I'd also like to thank my girlfriend, Elke, the backbone to my life and the kennel, and all the support she gives. And she's unfortunately not here tonight because she's back home with the kids, taking great care of them. I'd like to thank the vets and all the volunteers and everybody that's involved in putting on this race. It's an incredible show every year. Just the Iditarod, thank you. And as well as the city of Nome, thank you for having us here. It's incredible.
In his 26th Iditarod in 13th place from Willow, Alaska, Ramey Smith. Matthew Fowler will be representing Ramey here.
All right, please welcome Travis Beals, number 12 position, Seward, Alaska. This is 9th run into the Iditarod. 9 days, 17 hours, 39 minutes this year.
Thanks for coming out tonight, guys. It's sure special to be back in Nome, and I just want to say a quick thanks to some of the people who helped get me here. First off, I want to thank my dogs. They're pretty special out there this year, young group, and I just kept asking them to keep going, and they always did it for me. So I want to thank them. And then my partner Sarah, she's been there for me for years and helped me keep chasing the dream. Dave Branholm, he's been huge at the kennel, taking care of the pups. Couldn't be here without you, man. Thank you. Scott Jansen and Jansen Funeral Homes for their support out there. Victoria and Richard for an awesome place to train and stay in Willow. That's made a huge difference for us. Ron and Kathy for putting us up here in Nome and just really making us feel like we're at home. Really enjoyed you guys. Our handlers at home, Braxton, Kiana, thank you guys very much for taking care of all the dogs and allowing us to get out here and do this. And just thanks to all the mushers out there. You guys are a really special group of people and a unique group of people that you wouldn't get to meet anywhere else. So thanks for sticking with it. So thank you.
Please now welcome former champion Your Life Seth Olsson, finished this year position number 11, 9 days, 16 hours, 48 minutes from Norway.
Hey guys, just want to thank my host family. We have a great place to stay. Thanks to all the people that put this race on, the vets, the volunteers, the villages. You've done it for years now and really appreciate it. Thanks to Hannah, Mike, and Paige for lending me some dogs. They did really awesome. And the people at home, Eb has helped a lot. Peter and Joyce Duncan, my handler Mike, my beautiful wife Margot, all my sponsors across the board, Norway, Alaska, all over. Thank you so much.
Position number 10, please welcome Aaron Peck from Grand Prairie, Alberta, Canada. 9 Iditarods. This year, 9 days, 12 hours, and 10 minutes.
Oh, thank you. Hey everyone, thank you so much. It's an honor to share the trail with the best teams in the world. I always have to pinch myself out there that I'm running down the Iditarod Trail with the best long distance teams in the world. I want to, so many to thank here. Let's just start here in Nome. Austin and Jennifer Jones, who are not here tonight, they've hosted me repeatedly here in Nome, given me the Hilton to stay in. Staying warm by the wood stove there when the power was out this morning. And anyways, then we'll go down to Big Lake, Alaska. Martin, Kathy, thanks for putting up with us and being our Alaskan home away from home, and Michael and Tim back there, and just all the support you guys give to us before and during the race. I'm just forever grateful, and for everything over the years. Thank you. And the live stream, I'm not sure who can hear me back in Grand Prairie, Alberta. It's a long ways away, but Grand Prairie has had our backs, all the people that have come out for mushing tours over the winter, and our local sponsors there that have thrown their support behind us and our mission. Having, they're based not in Alaska. This is an event so far away from home, yet they have still believed in us to come up here and represent Grand Prairie and Alberta and Canada. I want to thank my helpers at home. For one, Mela, who has been with me on the trip. She's back in Big Lake taking care of the dogs right now. She's been incredibly steady and holding, taking care of all the drop dogs and helping me before and during the race. Charles, who's back home. Bonnie and the crew looking after the kennel, and most of all, my beautiful wife Eva and our beautiful children back home, allowing me to do this so far away and allowing me to be gone for so long, and just this unending support that I have from this amazing woman. And thanks, babe. It just is, it is a massive team effort, and it starts right at the home base, and she's that solid rock for me. We'll see what the future brings, and thank you, Iditarod. Thanks.
Ryan Reddington finished in position number 9, 9 days, 9 hours, and 26 minutes from Knik, Alaska, 39 years old, and this, the 15th Iditarod.
Wow, being up here is very special. You know, growing up, being a Reddington and the Iditarod means everything. And I couldn't, being a kid, you know, I always wondered what it was like to be running in the Iditarod on all those tough, windy years. And I've never had so much fun in my life running in the Iditarod. And I'd like to thank all the volunteers that put on the race, the race judges, the race marshal, all the veterinarians, and especially the mushers. You know, the mushers. Thank you guys for being such great sportsmanship throughout the entire race. And I'd like to thank my sponsors, RyanAir, AFS, Louise Russell with DogBooties.com, Bruce and Tammy Kaysen, Sue McCarville, Jill and Todd, Gilman Greyhounds Class 3A, Secret Forest Play School, Brian Lee Funeral Homes, Brian and Kate Gabbard, Sarah Dickinson, Veg Fresh Farms, Juliet Folds Walters, and the entire Walters family. I'd like to thank Hunter and my dad for training up almost half my team, and a really good group of dogs that they provided me, and an honor to be on the back of that sled. I'd like to thank Sarah. She helped me train and prepare and everything to get me here to this race, and I really appreciate you, Sarah. Thank you. And my host family, Garrick and Valerie, and all the others that I forgot. Thank you, and we'll be back next year with a better and stronger team.
Position number 8, welcome home, Aaron Burmeister. Great job, Aaron. Welcome.
50 years, oh my goodness. What an honor to be out there on the trail. Who dreamed that 50 years ago that this race would still be going on? It was almost that long ago that I wasn't a thought or a twinkle in my mother and father's eye yet, but both my parents, Howard Farley broke his back, and both my parents went out to take over and help his tours and help him get through the season with a dog team while he was out of service. And his payment for helping take care of their dogs and maintain the kennel and run tours for him that summer was, well, what else? Give mom and dad a dog team. And so, Howard, thank you. It's your fault that I'm here almost 50 years later, still standing on the runners after finishing 21 Iditarods. And it started something in our family that started with the first Iditarod that I've grown up with my entire life. Many of these mushers that are in this room, and many that have gone before us, like Herbie, and of course my heroes like Rick Swenson, Jerry Austin, Sonny Linder, a lot of the old timers, Carl Huntington, people I had the opportunity to meet and sit around a coffee table and listen to stories and learn. And it's not just learning about dog mushing, it's hearing the stories from the trail. Many of those stories that we hear that you don't believe, you'll never believe it. They're like dreams, and they're coming from your heroes until you get out there and have the opportunity to live it yourself and make those stories and live those dreams. It's been a pretty special lifestyle growing up here in Nome, being at the finish of Iditarod, and not just the end of Iditarod, but a community that, as a child myself, I went around with doing fundraisers so I could afford to fly to Anchorage for the junior Iditarod and grow up in the sport. And we had a great junior musher program here, the Nome Kennel Club put on, that kind of raised me through the junior ranks up to the adult ranks and helped me get qualified for my first Iditarod. But those are things that, as a child, it's larger than life. And I'm 46 years old now. I finished 21 Iditarods. It still feels like the Iditarod to me is larger than life. Traveling down the trail today with Still Martin and Jeff out on the trail, some of my early heroes, but many of the other mushers and the up-and-comers. And someone told me on the trail this year I'm an old-timer, and I laughed at him and said, bullshit. I still feel like one of the young bucks until I bend over and start putting booties on. Your back is sore and your knees are hurting and your legs are going. But, you know, congratulations to Brent, Jesse, Dallas. Seeing the future of Iditarod, the future of our sport has a very bright future with young master dogmen like that growing up in the sport and being willing to carry the torch and to make the rest of us look good, because competition is what improves us and improves our breed of dogs, it improves our kennel protocol, it improves our feeding program, it improves everything that we do. And Iditarod is the test. That's when we get to go out and test our dogs, our breed. And for me, that's something that I've lived for. My wife, who's been together with me for 23 years, my son Hunter, who's 13, and my daughter Kiana, who's 9, have lived this lifestyle. Mandy's been there in my corner, as Aaron Peck was saying, that's our rock. You can't do anything without it. And for all those, Kathy out there, for all those wives in the room, I think the partners, the teammates, the wives, the people at home making it happen, I think every one of them needs a big round of applause, because not one of us can be there without them. And the community of Nome for helping raise me and helping me achieve my goals. Growing up as a child, I mean, we were little punks running around. I mean, I could look around this room, and half the people in this room that are older than me, I know, scolded me at one point or another, because when you grow up in a village, you're not just raised by your parents, you're raised by the village. And it's not just Nome. I spent summers in Unaclate and all the villages up and down the trail, and I've had the opportunity to work in them, and there's family and friends that are close all up and down the trail that are special, from the Yukon River all the way from McGrath, growing up mining out into Cotton and Ophir and spending summers in the McGrath area, to Unaclate, Shaktoolik, all the way up to Nome. It's really special traveling the trail. It's one of my favorite parts of the Iditarod, is seeing families and friendships that you've made over your lifetime and traveling the trail that are there smiling and happy to see you every year. It's thank you to everybody for coming out and being a part of it. And we have another family that's in this room today, and that's the Iditarod family. The Iditarod family is something that's special, and it's a special bond between mushers. It's a special bond that's between volunteers, between veterinarians. Jan Bullock's in the room here somewhere. Jan, you've been there since forever and been volunteering and running the blood work program, and you've stepped back a few years ago, but how special it is to see you here tonight. People that are out there putting on the event for us, the vets that come back year after year, the volunteers like Mark Cox is somewhere in the room, that's in McGrath, it's in Shaktoolik, that help make it possible, that are leaders on the trail for us, and make sure those checkpoints are set up. It's just it's an Iditarod family as well, including all the sponsors that are on the banners standing here behind me that make it possible for us to stand up here. It's like the back of my hat, Northern Air Cargo says, it's teamwork that delivers. Iditarod, and just for a mushers, for us to stand here, it's teamwork that delivers. Not one of us can do it on our own. And Mark Nordman, God bless you for coordinating and putting this event on and pulling it out of your hat and working with the villages and the PR skills and the decisions that have to be made. I mean, you've got your hands full, and you've got an incredible team behind you of volunteers that all work together. That makes it happen. Rob, John, our board members, Mike Owens, that's in the room here, that's not only coordinating the checkpoint down here, but he's out on the trail while snow machine rescuing mushers, and he's here wearing an apron serving us in the banquet as well. I mean, it's that teamwork that makes this Iditarod family special, and it's an honor to be a part of it, and it's a lifestyle. It's not something you just do. It's something you live, and that makes it special. There's a few special sponsors that been a part of my program, and I'd certainly like to thank them. And Northern Air Cargo has been a part of my team for 20 years. Got us to the Bethel for the Cusco. They've got us in and out of Nome. They've got us to Kotzebue, and they make sure the dogs are taken care of, they're healthy, they're safe, they travel with us, but they also haul freight for everybody. They haul our mail up here, and they're an integral part of living in rural Alaska and being in the bush. They make things happen. Quality Asphalt Paving's been a long-time sponsor since I was employed by him 20 years ago, and they're continuing to stay on board and be a part of the team. Bering Pacific Services have been a very long-time sponsor of ours and continue to be our biggest fans and be on part of the team. And of course, I couldn't be here today without my family, Hunter, Kiana, and Mandy, for their support. Tony and Marion Browning, who've been helping make it possible at home. Many people from Nome remember Tony from the 80s and the early days, and he's done a lot of the mid-distance races throughout the state, but he came on board in 2012, and when I was really getting out of dogs because I had a commitment and a family and a big construction business to manage, and Tony said, hey, I want to get back into dogs, and I said, but I don't want to race the Iditarod. And I said, well, I've got sponsors, I've got a job, I can race the Iditarod if you do the mid-distance races, but I'm gone in the summers. I've got to be traveling for work. And Tony helps maintain the kennel, raise the pups, do the fall training, and makes it all possible. And a big part of the reason that we're still here able to participate today, both he and his wife, Marion. A young man that came on board a couple years ago that's started something called Table 200 for the fans and just got fired up about it. But Eddie Burke has been working with us the last 2 seasons, and his energy level, his drive, his focus, and his inept learning ability and way to bond with the dogs has just been a pleasure to have working with the program. And Eddie will be here on the runners of the race team next year and representing Alaskan Wild Style Racing and in his rookie Iditarod. So thank you, Eddie. Thank you to everybody that I've forgotten, but it's an honor to be here, and thank you all.
Position number 7 goes to Chad Stoddard this year from Anchorage. 9 days, 8 hours, and 28 minutes. Completed his second Iditarod start here.
Well, that was nice. Yep. All right. Yep. Well, thank you all for coming, and just have to pull up my little notes here so I can not have a brain fart. I first and foremost want to thank my partner Ibby, who introduced me to dog mushing about 10 years ago, and so she's the reason that I'm standing here today, and really fortunate to have her in my life. And also her mom and dad, who have cooked many meals for us over the years and took us into their house a lot of times when we needed a place to crash, and they're really sweet. So really love them. And of course my family, my mom and dad. I've been very lucky to have a good group of a good family to raise me, and that's a lot of the reason why I'm here today, of course. Also I'd like to thank our host Lou Tobin, who was really gracious to us and showed us around town, and he's lived here for 50 years, so it was really fun to hear him tell us a little bit about Nome, and it's really special to be here. I missed out last year, didn't come to Nome, but I was determined to get here this year, and it turned out to work out okay. And let's see, all the handlers back home at the kennel that help the thing run: Letty and Elliot, Isaac, Jofi, Terrence, and of course Daisha, who does a lot for Dallas's kennel there. And of course, I would like to thank all the other mushers that I've learned from and worked with over the years that have gotten me to where I am today. I first started working with Billy Snodgrass down in Wyoming. I have a lot to thank for him. The first time I ever drove a dog sled was I had 14 dogs and two guests in my sled, so I'd never driven a dog sled before ever, and that was one way to learn. So I learned from Billy, and also I spent a few years with Lance and learned a lot from Lance Mackey. I really thank him for my time there and his amazing dogs. And also Sven Haltman. I spent last year working with Sven's dogs. Sven is a really awesome guy, and I've been very fortunate to have some really good mentors to learn from over the years. And I figure the best way for me is to learn from everyone else's mistakes, and then I don't have to go through that pain. Thank you to all those folks. And I'd like to also really thank Travis Beals, who helped me last year, but more so this year. He gave me his sled there. I broke my sled about 10 miles outside of Ophir. The runner snapped off, and so I was driving a one runner with about a foot of space there for quite a while, and it was sure nice to have Travis's sled there in Unalakleet. He was very gracious. We ended up actually switching back after we got to Koyuk. He wanted that sled back, so we did a little bit of musical sleds there for a minute. It worked out well. Thank you, Travis. Really appreciate it. Let's see, anyone else? I think that has pretty much got it, but yeah, look forward to coming back in the future. And I was born in Alaska. I moved away when I was a young kid and always dreamed of coming back to Alaska, and it's kind of funny how life works out. So I intend to be here and coming back year after year, hopefully. And yeah, last but not least, I'd like to thank Dallas. I learned a lot from Dallas this year, kind of tagging along behind him and following his team and picking his brain, try to absorb as much information as I can. So thank you very much, Dallas. Appreciate you a lot. And so, yeah, thank you all.
And thanks to NAC for a really great promotion. In his 10th Iditarod, in 9 days, 7 hours, and 2 minutes. In 6th place, Richie Deal from Aniak, Alaska.
Yeah, I just like to thank everybody that helped put on this race, the sponsors that stick with us, the volunteers that are out there. I got a couple of my sponsors there. I got a lot of them that, you know, helped me make it happen, but Northern Air Cargo and RyanAir, huge thanks to them. I'd like to thank my wife Emery for everything she does, host family, Adam Bachman, the crab man here in town. It's a great host family. One big thank you I want to give, and I don't think I really said it during the race, but one of my dogs got away from some vets in Anchorage. I dropped him in Nikolai, and he was shipped back into Anchorage and got away from the vets there at the Lakefront. And immediately, I didn't find out about it until I got to Ruby, and he was still missing. And I called Emery up, and she was calling people around Anchorage, posting stuff, kind of rallying the people. And there were a lot of people that looked for him. And I thank you. So, thanks.
In 5th place, the Iditarod 2019 champion, Pete Kaiser from Bethel, Alaska.
She tried to change her mind at the last second there. I have a bunch of sponsors to thank. A lot of them I share with that are also Iditarod sponsors, but Donlin Gold, RyanAir, Northern Air Cargo, Alaska Technologies, Halibut Cove Live, Linden, Premier Blue Cross of Alaska, Yukon Helicopters, Rick and Kathy Hansen, Dr. Jessica Kleka, Dr. Carson's Pet Products, my wife Bethany, my kids Ailey and Ari for all their support, my parents for all their support, my in-laws Raymond and May Hoffman, the Madden family here in Nome for supporting us for the last 13 years. I want to thank Mark and Rob and Stu and all the volunteers for pulling off a great race. Everybody involved up and down the trail. The city of Nome for allowing us back in, and all the villages up and down the trail. Thank you all.
In 4th place, the 2022 Leonard Sepala Award winner, Dan Caduce.
Yeah, thanks everybody, and thanks to pretty much anyone I can think of or even miss tonight. Everybody that puts the race on, everybody that's helped me and Jody raise this wonderful team over the past handful of years. Madeline, Victoria, Abby, Maddie, all are super important to the success of the team, as well as all of our sponsors along the way. A lot of people have been asking me, on such a tough trail year, how can you possibly get a full team the entire way and have them in that competitive spot? And I've tried to put a lot of thought into it, and it really isn't any one thing. It's concentrating on everything, from before the dogs are born, to while you're packing your drop bags, to how you're driving your sled. It's everything. But two things I've thought of this week that both brought my team in fourth position into such a great spot, and Brent's unbelievable team into the championship spot, are that we both run awesome man-mat harnesses, and we also both have done the Yukon Quest many times. Don't underestimate how challenging yourself with a tough trail prepares you for a tough year in the Iditarod like this. So do your dogs a favor and try out a man-mat harness, and do yourself a favor and try the Quest sometime. Thanks.
Our next finisher has 5 Iditarod starts with 3 top 10 finishes. This year finished in 9 days, 4 hours, 39 minutes. In third place, please welcome Jesse Holmes.
I'd like to thank each and every one of you for being here, and all the supporters of the Iditarod, the sponsors, the veterinarians on the trail that give excellent care to our dogs and help guide us to make the right decisions, and all the volunteers and all the villages that welcome us in and treat us with such amazing hospitality. If I'm guilty of one thing out there, some people say I chat too much and I talk too much with everybody, but that doesn't tire me out. All those people and all those kids out there, they energize me and they give me the energy, and it was amazing this year because I never felt tired, and I think that's why. I'd like to thank the sponsors that I have, individual dog sponsors. Quite a few people helped support my kennel with sponsoring dogs this year. That was really nice. It makes me proud to go out there and race with their believing in me. Samart Automotive, helping keeping the truck going, huge. Really appreciate them. Howland Dog Harnesses, make an awesome harness. They sponsored us. My dogs, they're amazing. We had an amazing run. They were a young group of dogs. They were way beyond my expectations. I never in my all year thought that we were going to be getting third place in the Iditarod, but I paid attention to their needs, their weaknesses, their strengths, and managed them, and we got here and we had a great time. They ate everything I put in front of them and just got faster and faster as we went down the trail, and it was just amazing to see them be so happy and healthy and full of energy, and they still are. So, thank you, Nome, for having us here. Look forward to coming back again next year.
Our second place finisher in the 2022 Iditarod has 13 Iditarod starts with 11 top 10 finishes and 5 championships. Mr. Dallas CV.
Well, let's start with a big ol' happy 50th birthday, Iditarod. Tell you what, running this race now 13 times has been a real blessing to my life. I cannot begin to say how grateful I am for the Iditarod and what it's done for me. the sense of purpose it's given me, the sense of drive. It has been a great thing to help me grow as a human and to realize one of the many great relationships we can enjoy in life, and that is the amazing relationship between a human and their animal, their pet, their companion, their dogs. And I so cherish that relationship. And every year we run the Iditarod, I learn more about them so I can care for them better. And that relationship and that bond and that trust grows deeper and deeper and deeper. And I think that is what draws mushers back to this race year after year after year. You see very few mushers successfully retire from the Iditarod. And it's a hard thing to walk away from, right? And so I'm not so foolish as to say that I'm ever going to retire from this race. You know, I'm here on the 50th anniversary, and I'd love to come back for the 100th anniversary and maybe even be the oldest person to run it. But I am going to take a few years off. And as much as I love the relationship with these dogs and the things the Iditarod has done for me, there are other relationships in life that are very important too. And I have the utmost faith and confidence with the amazing family that's around the Iditarod that this race will be here in 50 years, and the race will be here when I'm ready to return. But I also am certain that my daughter will not be 11 again next year or the year after that. So we're going to take a few years. We're going to keep growing as a dog person. We're going to take the time to enjoy all those other relationships. We're going to support the Iditarod. And I'm going to keep mushing dogs and having adventures and having experiences and raising puppies and seeing the next generation of mushers coming up in here, like Chad and everybody else in our kennel that's working there and busting their tail to help us pursue these dreams. So we'll be around it, but it'll be a few years before we race again. So I just want to say thank you to everybody that comprises the Iditarod family. Every village along the way, every veterinarian along the way, every volunteer, everybody who had a clipboard out there and jotted down the time, everybody who greeted us with a smile at a checkpoint or told us where the coffee was or the place to sleep. There are millions of things that go into putting on this race. And the spotlight is so often on the mushers, but what happens in this race, what's amazing about the race, is so much more than that. It's the whole world around it. And we should all be very, very thankful to be part of that. I want to thank my dog team, as we all have coming up here. But I am so fortunate to have the team of professionals that love their job so very much. You know, it's hard to really grasp how amazing a sled dog is. Even after all these years I've been doing it, I'm sure the mushers here that have done this thing 39 frickin' times would say the same thing, if they were awake. But when you're cruising from Shaktoolik to Koyak and you got a ground blizzard hitting you in the face, and you've got your 45-pound lead dog North up there with his nose to the ground and just slaloming in between drifts, finding the glazed ice, that's the easiest track, keeping the markers in sight, and scurrying his team to the next checkpoint. And every time you stop, it's lunging, it's barking, it's this drive, this desire to take that next step. It never ceases to amaze. So thank you, sled dogs. Not just mine, but all of them. Thank you for being such an awesome little critter and adding so much to all of our lives. For the sponsors, all of us have them, and there's no way we could do this without them. So first of all, Iditarod sponsors, thank you. I mean, sincerely, thank you for being here with us through the ups and downs, the trials, the challenges we've had over the last few years with COVID and whatnot to see this race actually go. It actually happened through all of that. That's an amazing accomplishment, and we couldn't have done that without all the volunteers, the dedicated staff, and of course all the sponsors stepping up to the next level. For me personally, I've got a lot of them. Let me start with everybody who donated even on the small levels and sponsored a dog or supported the team. So for everybody watching live right now, thank you for supporting us from all over the world, even though you can't be here in person tonight. Thank you for supporting the event. Thank you for supporting our individual teams. Many of us do the sponsor a dog stuff. So thank you for supporting any musher out there. But specifically, thanks for sponsoring our guys. Jim and Roseanne Keller. I've been wearing this Keller stuff for many years here. We met back in 2006, and they're still with us. You know, however many Iditarods later and 5 championships later, they're still with us and still just as excited about the next race as I am. So thank you to you guys. Capital Investment Advisors, American Pistachio Growers Association, Pistachio Power, Nonstop Dog Wear. I really appreciate those guys. All the gear I'm wearing out there in the hurricanes, and it's working great. Same with my dogs. They're wearing the same jackets that I am, and I really appreciate that awesome gear. Dr. Carson's, thanks for being in there and helping our dogs' stomachs feeling great. Now back home, it does take a village to put on this event, and so for our handlers, you know, Chad mentioned many of them already: Letty, Elliot, Terrence, Jofi, Isaac, obviously Chad and Ibby, and of course Daisha, who's kind of like the, I don't know, mother hen. Thank you not only for being the handlers, being the helpers, getting our team ready, but for being my friends and being as passionate about this journey that we're all doing together. They're all mushers. They're all going to be here in a few years, so we're going to keep supporting them. I can't wait to see all of them run their first Iditarod in a few years. And I think that just about sums it up. So in closing, thank you all. Thanks for being the Iditarod family. Thank you to the staff, volunteers. You know who you are. I appreciate you, and I know every other musher that has crossed the finish line or even crossed the starting line or is going to start this race 10 years from now. They all appreciate what all of you do. So thank you for being awesome people. We appreciate it.
In 8 days, 14 hours, 38 minutes, and 43 seconds. In his 7th start, 2 top 10 finishes. Please welcome, join me and all of Iditarod Nation in welcoming our 2022 champion, Brent Sass.
Oh, man. Wow. Thank you. See if I can get through all this stuff. I have a lot to say, but it's still pretty surreal, let's just put it that way. So when you work at something for so long and then it's all of a sudden there, it's quite amazing. But start off with a bunch of thank yous. Thank you to the City of Nome. It's always fun. It's amazing to be back here. You know, it was a real bummer we didn't get here last year, and so I'm super stoked to be here again. And everything you guys do here to welcome us for this week. We're take over your town. The race organization, Mark and Stu and everybody out there on the trail, we just couldn't do this without you. The volunteers, like all the mushers have said, like that's a smiling face that we see every time we come and do a checkpoint. And we have to remember, like, you guys are out there on your own time doing this because you want to do it, and it's all for us. So thank you so much for that. I have so many great volunteer stories. Even though I blow through a lot of the checkpoints, you know, it's always fun coming in and everybody wants to say hi real quick, and I try and do what I can to say hi and make sure that I really do appreciate it. So for all you guys that I did just blow through your checkpoint, thank you so much for everything you guys do to support the race. The volunteers, like the vets as well, we couldn't be going down the trail without the vets, you know. All you guys, again, out there on your own time, and everybody's so fired up about it. You're so excited, and you also want to learn from us, which is a lot of fun as well, because we do know our dogs best. And so when we do have a problem or do have an issue, I feel like you guys are working together with us to take care of those problems, and I really appreciate that. The trail breakers, you guys are amazing. We'd never be out there without you guys putting in all the stuff in the gorge, and then all those those pieces of lath out there that kept me on the trail for the most part, all the way to Nome. We couldn't thank you guys. I mean, I spend a lot of time on a snow machine breaking trails up where I live, and I know what kind of work and effort and energy that goes into that. So thank you so much to all the trail breakers. Checkpoints, I mentioned that, and the volunteers, all these villages that open up their everything to us and are so excited and happy to see us. I can't wait till we get through this COVID stuff and everyone can kind of celebrate the Iditarod like we have in the past at every one of these checkpoints along the way. And then all the sponsors for Iditarod, and we just wouldn't be here without you. So really appreciate it. It's fun to see Bob every year out there at QRILL or Iditarod, and the familiar faces year after year after year. It's pretty awesome. Here in Nome again, Erica and Phil over at the Pingo Bakery. I stay at their place while I'm here in town. Thank them so much. If you haven't been to that place yet, you better go there. It's the best food, best baked goods in town. Definitely check them out. And then on to my sponsors. Dog sponsors, they're huge. I mean, every year we put up this dog sponsors thing, and within 2 or 3 days, all 50 plus of my dogs are sponsored. All you guys out there in the internet world, thank you so much for what you guys do to support my dog team. Dogbooties.com, Lois, and there she does an amazing job with the dog booties and gives us those colorful orange fluorescent yellow booties to wear out there on the trail. It's kind of been our trademark now, so big thanks to dogbooties.com. Man-Mat Gear, been wearing their harnesses. They believed in me long before I was going to be anywhere near the winner's circle or anywhere near the top of the field at all. So I really, big shout out to Man-Mat for sticking with me all these years. Nukshuck Dog Food, they helped me out a lot. Quality dog food is key for what we're doing with these dogs. My vet and good friend Joanne McCree would not be here without her. She takes on my dogs and takes care of them, lasers them at every possible opportunity she can get, calls me up in the middle of the night and says, can I come by in the morning and do a quick laser on those dogs before you head down? And it's like, yeah, it's amazing. So huge shout out to Joanne. If you're in the Fairbanks area, she's an amazing vet. And like Dan said, the Yukon Quest family, I definitely have run 14 Yukon Quests, and that race and all the people that have been supporting me on that has definitely been a building block to getting me to this point in the Iditarod as well. My parents just wouldn't be here without them for a lot of different reasons, but my dad, as a lot of you guys know him probably, he's been around for a long time, and he just comes up for 3 months every year and pours his heart and soul into it. So can't thank him enough. He's not here tonight. He's back at home helping with the dogs and taking care of things, so I can go back into the woods when I get back. So so my parents just and the rest of my family who supported me from Minnesota, I can't thank you guys enough. My handlers that were for the season this year who traveled with me to the races, Steve and Hannah, they did an amazing job. Steve's been with me for like 12 Yukon Quests, and couldn't be here without him. The rest of my friends and family out there, my sister who helps with all my social media stuff, and couldn't do it without her as well. Mike and Sue Ellis, amazing mentors, friends. They cook all my food. I eat amazing food out on the trail. I think I gained weight during this race, believe it or not, but I'm eating the best home cooked turkey dinners and lasagnas and soups and moose stews and all the best type of food you can possibly have, and I think that definitely makes a difference in the race. So big thanks to those guys. My buddies Josh, Jason, Tom, and Joe, Ken, they've been there since day one. They're back in Fairbanks, and we did it. Is the word to them. They've been at my support forever. One more guy I want to thank that's still out there, Kurt Wold. He was the guy who gave me my very first sled dog, Silver. He got me started with this. He handed me a sled dog and said, now you're a musher. And then I kind of took that to heart, got 6 more right away, and the rest is kind of history. So big thanks to him. All the fans, we wouldn't be here without all of you guys. The fans are everything, and I have a huge social media following, and those people bring me so much energy and power throughout the season with all their comments and all just the knowing that so many people are watching what you're doing out there. It's another motivation out there on the trail, and I really appreciate that. And this year especially, all the people that really came out and just supported me in what our mission was this year. I can't thank you enough. It was overwhelming at time, and I think I said it at the finish, is I was luckily able to take all of that extra energy and pressure and turn it into good positive energy out there on the trail. One quick trail story, I was going down the Yukon River and heading towards Galena, and we were in the zone. It was a beautiful day, and I saw this little cabin off to the right, and all of a sudden a snow machine comes flying out up ahead, and he stops, and I come by, and he just holds out this bag, and I grab it, and he's like, you go get him, and he was just, a very awesome man out there in the middle of nowhere, and there's a plastic bag and a few treats, and it says, Brent Sass pulling you for you in the 2022 Iditarod. And that type of thing was just amazing, and I got that type of support all the way down the trail and for the months leading up to it. So just can't thank everybody out there enough for that. Some other real individuals that have played a huge role in this: Dave Munson with Trailbreaker Kennel, of course that's Susan Butcher's husband, and those guys really got me started with this. You know, I got a dog from Kurt Wold and had a recreational 6-dog team, and you know, was just up to going caribou hunting and doing all that stuff. And then one summer I got an opportunity. It's a funny story. I'm just going to tell it because I answered an ad in the newspaper to come help rebuild a dog yard. I was a contractor. I had built a lot of log cabins, and I just wanted a job where I didn't have to think. And if I could do it at a kennel, I would learn more about dog mushing. And so I rolled into this dog kennel not really having a clue of what I was driving into, and was like, wow, this is a pretty nice place they got here, you know, and drove in and knocked on the door, and this guy answered the door, and he's like, come on in, and shook his hand and looked at the wall, and there's a big mural of Susan Butcher on the wall, and then Susan Butcher is sitting at the table right there, and I'm like, this is Susan Butcher's kennel, you know, and all of a sudden lights start going off in my head, and I'm like, I just could not believe, one, that I didn't know that Trailbreaker Kennel was Susan Butcher's kennel. That was kind of a naive thing for me at that point. But, you know, from that day on, for the next like 3 or 4 years, Susan had just been diagnosed with leukemia, and so she wasn't doing a whole lot of mushing at that time. But I came on and helped her totally rebuild her kennel and got to sort of work next to her on a daily basis. And I heard that was pretty rare, and I felt very, very fortunate for that. And then she asked me to start running her dogs. And I had my little 6-dog team that I'd go run, but then I'd come back to their kennel at night, and I'd go train their race team at the time. And I got to come back, and then we go in Susan Butcher's living room and sit there, and you'd explain to her what the dogs did and how they reacted to certain things, and she would give me input back on how I should do something different the next time, or what I should, you know, how to manage certain situations. And I mean, at the time I was like, this is amazing, but then over the years it's like I realized just how amazing that opportunity was. So the whole race, I was thinking about Susan, and stopped at Old Woman Cabin. It was one of her favorite places, and sat and thought about her a lot there. And I go through her homestead up in Eureka. I live where she lived and trained, and get to drive through her homestead there. And the energy is still there, and I'm very fortunate to be able to kind of carry a little bit of that energy all the way to this 50th Iditarod. So super, super, super grateful for that opportunity. A couple more people: Ed and Willow Salter, the people I bought my homestead out in Eureka, who were like mother and father to Susan and Rick and all those other mushers that were out there in Eureka during those times. They're just amazing people, and I was lucky enough to buy their homestead 10 years ago, and that's what affords me to live this life that I live out there with the dogs. Pam Reddington, who lives right down the road from me. Joey was probably is my biggest mentor, one of the coolest guys I've ever met in my entire life. And I used to go, and I still do go and checkpoint there at their place. It's 40 miles from my place, and so I roll into the Reddingtons, the Reddington checkpoint often, and tell old stories about Iditarod. And Joey, are they tough enough? That was his question every year. Are they tough enough? And well, Joey, they were tough enough this year. It was pretty awesome. And Joey was, yeah. So Susan, Joey, and then the other guy that was on my big list of people who I really wanted to see this day was Hobo Jim. I mean, we all know who Hobo Jim was. And yeah, it was, he inspired me long ago with his song Wild and Free. I just saw myself as that person in that song, and I named my kennel after it. And I told him long ago in a bar when I was really drunk that I was going to win the Yukon Quest and the Iditarod someday. And I never really told anybody that, but it was my goal, and I wanted to do it, but I told him that. And so I've been riding on that for the last 15 years, and Hobo, wherever you're at, we did it. So yeah. And then I guess the last I also want to thank Lance Mackey. He was another one of my really big inspirations and heroes when I first got into this sport. You know, again, he was another guy that I just looked up to, and he was winning these Iditarods back to back and winning the Yukon Quest, and I got to be out on the trail with him in the Yukon Quest those years. And you know, he kind of basically what started my breeding program is he gave me a dog and said, breed to that big leader you got. And that's like the grandkids and great grandkids of that breeding are what in my team today. So I thank him a lot as well. And then last and definitely not least are my dogs. It's been a hell of a season. We won every race we entered. They were just phenomenal. And all along the way we were in the lead, and that's generally not a great place you want to be for the whole time or for most of the time. But every time I would think, man, I don't know if we're supposed to be here, if this is the best place, the best position to be riding in with 450 miles left in the race, and then 350 miles left, and then 250 miles left. And each time I said that, the dogs gave some sign that was like, no, this is exactly where you need to be. This is exactly what we need to be doing. And we're just going to keep doing this and marching right on towards the finish line. And everything I asked of them, they did, especially my leaders, Morello and Slater. Slater led 850 miles of the race. People commented during the checkpoints. He'll sit, when I did stop in checkpoints, he sits up and just watches the whole time. He doesn't really sleep. He's kind of like me. He never sleeps on the trail. And he just watches and waits for me to come back around and ask him what to do. And I couldn't thank this dog team more than ever. It was Morello and Slater and Pink and Arlo, Lucy, Garnet, Draco, Jackson, Talk, Capone, Woody, Katuk, Marble, and Pop. So thank you very much. And also thanks to Dallas Seavey for being a great motivation out there. You know, it's not fun having the 5-time champ chasing you down the entire race, but it was a great motivation, and it was awesome racing against you, man. So we're going to miss you the next couple of years, but plenty of great competition out there, and we will definitely see all of you next year here in Nome.
Okay. Here's what's going to happen. We're going to do some photos here with Brent. I would like to have Bo York from Hillcorp come to the stage, Bob James from GCI, and Ron Ruhlman from Donlin Gold for quick photos. We'll do this, then our host, John Hanlon, our mayor, and the Iditarod board member will close out the evening here in a couple minutes, so stay tuned. Right.